We are going live. Don't know if I'm live, but we're going to see if we're live. Am I live? Twist Mint and Elias is here. Who else is seeing if I'm live? Just give me a little bit of a confirmation, then I'll do a sound check. This is just the third time I've done this setting here, so there's things I gotta go configure. So if I'm live, just please say something on the chat. And I'm gonna do a test right now, okay? So I'm gonna clap, and I wanna know who's behind, okay? How the entire Mar Jeff. Okay, I'm gonna do a clap, and then we're gonna see if I'm behind or the voice, okay? 1, 2, 3. So which one is behind, the voice or the video? Aurora, how are you doing? And Tyre Meyer. Okay, so AMG. So did you see that test? I just want to make sure I know which one is, or if it's in sync. Do I do that again? Let me do it again, okay? Audio ahead of video. Audio ahead of video. So I need to lag. I guess I don't know how to do that. Okay. I don't know if I can do that. Hello, losing Boomerang. I just never know how to pronounce that. Losing Boomerang. Good morning. Are you in Europe? Okay, let me just we'll do a little bit of an experiment here. I'm going to see if this makes it worse. Okay, I'm going to enable stream delay. This will probably make it worse, but let's see, okay? Okay, now I'm going to hold on. Okay, now I don't know if this will work, so I'm going to now do the same thing here and watch this, okay? 1, 2, 3. So we'll see how that compares. Is that worse, better, or what? So somebody can let me know if that's better or worse. Audio? No, I'm talking about just the timing, because last time I saw there was a bit of a lag, and I couldn't remember if the lag was the sound or the video. Which one is lagging? So this is kind of hard to do live because there's no way to test this in advance. Same here, audio ahead of video, about the same as before. Okay, so it looks like I don't know what to do. Okay, I'm gonna have to research that. Not something I can figure out right now. But welcome, folks, and hopefully you're having fun this holiday period here. And Christmas is coming soon. We're like just a few days away. Can you believe that? And then I guess Hanukkah is coming shortly too. So same. Okay, so I just noticed as well that on YouTube the number of people watching the videos during this time of year has slowed down quite a bit. So I'm not expecting to do a long broadcast because most people are busy with the holidays. So I just want to make sure that I greet you all and answer questions and talk about a few things. No problem. Lips are synced with sound. Okay, Brian. Okay, so as long as it's not extreme. Okay, if the lips are synced with sound in some way, then we're okay. It may depend also if you're on 1080p or 720p or 480p or 360p, whatever your resolution is at the moment on the video. I'm transmitting at maximum of 1080p. Waiting for that Pine phone review next year. I appreciate a long broadcast. I don't know. Nobody, everyone's busy, so we'll see. I'm more than happy to, to oblige if there are people watching, but I'm not going to be shocked and surprised if we don't have a lot of people showing up at a time like this. So I know from the videos that, you know, the number of people watching the videos have dropped like 50%. So, which shouldn't be a surprise. And I'm actually seeing that it's not unique to me. It's the same with everyone. Granny Bonzoiks. Now you're Granny. So at least you came here, Bonzoiks. You didn't go to Periscope. I'm not broadcasting in Periscope right now. So I have to reconfigure. I just didn't have time. I'd have to reconfigure this to go back to Periscope. So just keeping it simple right now, and you know, keeping it simple. And yes, my new setup over here. Let me just realign that. My new setup here is, you know, like my little studio here. So with new lens, I have a DSLR setup. Hopefully, you know, it blurs everything nicely behind me. So a little bokeh over there. Periscope depth. So hello, Larry Moore. So yeah, so a little bit trying to get fancy here, you know, now that we're our channel's growing here on YouTube. So investing more time and money into having a nice setup, and I got 2 new art pieces coming in soon here. In the next couple weeks or so, we'll get the artwork that was made by Snarky Art. Hello, Mama Goo. So Snarky Art made a couple of art pieces to go behind me on those frames there. And sorry, I didn't really realize that this is giving a reflection here. So that's not good. So yeah, there's it's reflecting in the glass. Hoist the main batten the elves. The scarf looks great. Thank you, Larry Moore. Any new ideas on how to use that Pine phone for alternative projects? Oh yes, Fac. Oh yes. So we'll talk a little bit about that and anything you want to ask about today. And again, to remind you, you know, I've had people, you know, many people, of course, buy these products. You know, the Brax Wi-Fi router is one of them, and the VPN. And many people are buying these and may not know the changes that I made on this by the way, this is an empty case, so there's nothing. I don't have any spare Raspberry Pi right now, so this is empty. But it looks like that. What do you think about Manjaro OS? Manjaro, you mean? What do you think about Manjaro OS for PinePhone? Should work, but you're not really going to see the Manjaro part of it. You're going to see the Plasma Mobile, which you have to put on top of it. So you have to install that on top of that. So I don't know if there's going to be much difference with using Manjaro. I can't be far from the mic. The mic is right next to me here, and if I increase the volume, I'm going to here. Let me increase the volume a little bit more, but I can't get any closer than. I mean, come on, you see where the mic is. I can't. How much closer can I be? So I'm already in the red zone here. Okay, let me push it to the red zone. Let me push it to the red zone here, and then you tell me. Okay, you tell me if it's breaking up. If it's not breaking up, we'll keep it. If it's breaking up, let me know. Okay. So yeah, if you install Manjaro on a Pine phone, well, let's talk about that for a moment, because I'm gonna ask the people from Pine 64. Oh, okay. Well, Larry, we don't have to worry about that. Yes, when I step back, then you're not gonna hear. Graphene OS is what you're looking for if you want security for all Pixel devices. Okay, so let me that was not my opinion, Alex. Just reading Alex's comment there. No, I don't think Graphene OS will do that for you, because I've read what Graphene OS does, and it's basically at the early stages. There's nothing that they're doing that specifically points to privacy at the moment. So nothing. So it's too early. It's too early to say where it's going to go. But we'll look forward to that. But you know, Graphene is still based on Android. It's an AOSP. So that's going to be that's still not my idea of full security. Linux is going to be much better than that. Hello, Silly Willy. This is Cashmere. The scarf is. The sweater is not. Cashmere tends to be too thin for me, and I want it a little warmer. It's kind of cold, so. Cold. Arch on Pine phone. Rolling distro. Something stable for the phone. The one that what you want to have on a phone is mainline Linux. So let me just explain that there at the moment 2 OSs that are in close to ready shape for the Pine phone, and one of them would be the Ubuntu Touch, and the other one is Postmarket OS. Postmarket OS is based on Alpine Linux. Okay, not Arch Linux. It's based on Alpine Linux, and Postmarket OS is mainline Linux. So hello, nerdy. Okay, so mainline Linux means that you have the new kernel, which is 5 point whatever, and Ubuntu Touch is using 3.5 or so kernel. So it's using an older kernel, which means a lot of software may not work with it just because the kernel is older. And there are other issues with Ubuntu Touch. Ubuntu Touch will be good if you want to just use the phone part of it. That's going to work. But if you want to do projects on a Pine phone and run like other apps on it, then the answer is actually going to be more along the lines of Postmarket OS, because that's mainline Linux. So in theory, then you can install, what we expect to run on a desktop. You would be able to install that using Postmarket OS. Now, Postmarket OS itself does not have a mobile interface. So Postmarket OS needs a mobile environment on top of it, and that mobile environment is Plasma Mobile from KDE. Plasma Mobile, or KDE, makes Plasma for KDE desktop environment for a lot of distros, for any distro, and they're making the phone version of that, which is called Plasma Mobile, and that can actually be installed on top of any version of Linux that is running KDE, or in other words, Qt. Okay, so anything that supports Qt would work with Plasma Mobile. So, for example, that's going to be something you can install on top of Postmarket OS or Manjaro. Okay, when the time comes. So I'm excited by that, but it's not going to work with Ubuntu Touch. Ubuntu Touch is made to work with Ubuntu Touch. It's going to just work by itself. Ubuntu Touch is just made to work. It's already, it's a platform that's already running. So at least you get the phone to work, and everything that you expect the phone to do will be available on Ubuntu Touch. So I'm not worried about that. Hello, Seb Kabalan Sciences. Delete your Facebook now. You're only deleting your Facebook now? I've deleted my Facebook in 2013. So I have a 6-year head start on you. And yes, thank you, Antivirus. If you hit the like button, that would be so appreciated. So anyway, so in my last video, which actually cost me to be unfollowed or unsubscribed by Merry Christmas, Kabbalan Sciences. Hold on, let me just set it so I can look up or down here and see comments in any direction. Wow, that's actually kind of small. Cubes is too resource heavy for the Pine phone, or any phone for that matter. Fedora would be great. It's a distro I recommend to everyone. It's not that simple, Alex. You know, let me tell you about what I put in the video, and this is a little bit more complex than I made it sound. Because you need to understand why the Pine phone, you know, why this works with Linux and what the limitations are. Well, it just so happened that, as you know, two companies are making Linux phones. One is Purism making the Librem 5, and then Pine 64 making the Pine phone. And if you've seen the videos on the Librem 5, you can see so many issues with the Librem 5, such as overheating, not even being able to make a call, basically issues with just things like power saving, and just the OS itself just being a little bit goofy. You know, it's not working as expected, and that is the problem with the Librem 5, because the hardware is kind of a unique combination. This is not hardware that's been seen before. It's been seen in, you know, maybe separate combinations, but not as one phone. This is not the same as the Pine phone. The Pine phone, what's unique about the Pine phone, folks, is it came from an existing single board computer, meaning like a Raspberry Pi. They already had one, and I didn't really mention it in the video, so I'm going to tell you right now that the Pine phone is actually built upon the Pine A64. I believe it's based on the Pine A64 LTS. So if you want to know what will run on the Pine phone minus the cell modem, all you have to do is look and see what operating systems already run on the Pine A64 LTS, which is, you know, one of their oldest SBCs, one of the first SBCs they've made. So it's not a very powerful device, but compatibility-wise, it should be better. They actually have two versions of the SBC Pine A64. There's one called a Pine A64 Plus, and then the Pine LTS, Pine A64 LTS. So what's different about this SBC, or single board computer? Again, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, it's basically like a Raspberry Pi. So let me see. Do I have one here? Goodness, I didn't pull out a Raspberry Pi. I'm actually out of stock of Raspberry Pis right now. I'm out of stock of Raspberry Pis. But anyway, the idea of an SBC, single board computer, is that you can put a computer in these devices that I make and sell them with software, and then you can actually make this little projects and do it yourself. So this is what I've been selling, because they're really cool for keeping costs down, since, you know, they're not very expensive versus, you know, building some custom thing. And the Pine A64 was one of the first boards released by Pine 64, and the Linux community started contributing to it. In fact, when they had it last year, it took a while. I'm going to say that it was only this year that they actually, you know, made drivers compatible with it. And even the new one they have, the new SBC they have called a Rock Pro 64, is not completely compatible yet. So that's a problem with these. You make the hardware, and it often will take up to a year before the software catches up. So the advantage is for the Pine A64, which is the exact same motherboard, the exact same Wi-Fi, the exact same, basically everything with the exception of the sensors and the cell modem. That's the only difference with a PinePhone. So this is why the PinePhone is not going to have the same issues as the Librem 5. It's not going to have any power issues because they already have an existing board that's using the same CPU and the same Wi-Fi and the same Bluetooth and the same display, the same GPU. So all of that's been figured out. So I actually expect the PinePhone, with a few minor glitches, should be ready for use, pretty much shortly here, the next month. So I think that's what's going to happen with the PinePhone. The Librem 5 is, I'm going to say, still months away from even stabilizing. And even if they do, I think there'll be a lot of issues. I mean, the phone doesn't even make a call yet. They're already releasing the chestnut version and the C batch, and the C batch is going out, and you can't even make a call yet. So I don't know. That's really far behind. No, hell no, Facebook OS. We're get head start now. Delete your Facebook. Yeah. Okay. If why you're all talking Facebook here, and I'm not even talking about Facebook. Anyway, so because of that, I'm not actually too worried about what will happen to the PinePhone, because I can just go to the Pine A64 wiki on the Pine 64 site and see that they in fact support Ubuntu Mate and Fedora and Debian and so on. So Armbian. So there's a few OSs that are already supported on there. So the main issue will be, can it have the drivers for the telephony side? And that's actually old. The telephony drivers are actually from a long time ago. They were made by Intel in 2011. So it's called Ophono. So that's already on the mainline Linux kernel. So I mean, for a long time, since many years. So somebody already got it running, as far as making calls with Ophono. So I think that's going to be fine. So based on that, it's not going to be super simple. I mean, there's going to be glitches in installing this on a PinePhone, especially with the mobile interface. But as far as, getting basic things to run, I think we'll be okay. I personally prefer security on my end. What does that mean? Privacy versus security versus convenience versus arrogance. So anyway, that's what I think is going to be happening to the PinePhone. I think that, to be honest with you, I think that the PinePhone will be ahead of the Librem 5. By the way, I compared, the hardware, and the more I know, the more I'm actually dissatisfied. I compared the hardware in the Librem 5 versus the one on the PinePhone, and the Librem 5 hardware isn't much faster than the PinePhone. It looks like it's just a little bit faster, but is it double the speed? I don't think so. I don't think it's. I mean, the PinePhone is not a very fast CPU. The PinePhone is actually the same speed as a Raspberry Pi 3B Plus, or just slightly faster than a Raspberry Pi 3B Plus. So we're talking about a Librem 5 likely slower than a Pi 4. So that's not something to jump up and down about, because you're paying $700. $700, and your CPU is likely slower than a Pi 4. What do you think of Tense Linux? I don't know. I'm not the type to be experimenting with distros, Mark. I don't go around like testing different distros. So if there's an interesting distro, then I'll go check it out and see what the difference is. Like I I just ran Manjaro on my computer, on the same computer, and I was looking at that, and I was saying, well, it's really runs. The interface is not that different from Ubuntu, so what am I really spending my time on? And there are things that are missing on it. For example, the VPN setup, it's a little harder on Manjaro than it is on Ubuntu. So, it's little things. Salt Lakers, jingle bells, yes. Rob has used Nexus 5 with Ubuntu Touch in his store if you don't want to wait for the Pine. I'm still, actually, I deviated, and I'll tell you why. So I still have Nexus 5s. Actually, we'll give you an option here. I can install Lineage Os on these instead of Ubuntu Touch. Okay, I was thinking about it. So I have at the moment I have a couple of Nexus 5s. I could probably install Lineage OS, and I'm using Lineage OS on a 1+1. So this is a 1+1, and I'm running Lineage OS. Lineage OS is perfect. I mean, it runs just like Android. Bluetooth works, everything works, and you have the option of running, if you want, some Android apps. Now, I tried here to install this. Do I read my comments? I'm reading comments, but you guys are talking about something else. Do I read my comments? Of course I'm reading the comments. But you're talking about Facebook. You like the monitor in the background? Or is this a blue screen? You mean that in the back is a Mac? That's a Mac. This is a Lenovo. Reminds me of a quote by Franklin. It says, "Those who would give up essential liberty privacy to purchase a little temporary safety security deserve neither liberty nor safety." What is the difference between Lineage OS versus Ubuntu Touch? Yeah, I was going to talk about that, Larry. The problem with Ubuntu Touch, and I want to help them. So actually, I'm not giving this complaint to people at UBports, the makers of Ubuntu Touch, because I actually want to help them. I'm trying to understand the source code to see if I can actually modify it. Because here's my problem with Ubuntu Touch. It has to do with the calling side. They didn't really, whoever made the UI or the UX, didn't really plan it out too well. I'm going to tell you my problem with the Ubuntu Touch. That is kind of a serious concern for me. The way that the Ubuntu Touch works for making a call is it's made to use two hands. I mean, you can make a call on any Android or iOS phone with one hand. Okay? The problem with the way Ubuntu Touch works is everything is like dragged from the bottom, and you have to hold that. You can't do it with one hand. And the swipe and anything that has to go from the bottom up, and one of the most important screens they have actually have to be pushed from the bottom, makes it really unrealistic for me to use it in a hurry. So if I want to make a call quickly, I can't find the contacts, the favorites, because you have to look at these little icons, and to actually pull it up, you have to swipe from the bottom. It's really badly designed that way. It should be easy to change, but I can't imagine that people aren't actually complaining about this. This is easy stuff to change. Okay? I'm actually looking at the source code to just change it. Because I don't know who thought about the UI, but that is just so inconvenient. I tried that. Just the Bluetooth doesn't work on Ubuntu Touch. Okay, for calling, the Bluetooth doesn't work. So I'm using Lineage OS because I got to make calls, and this one is very reliable with Bluetooth. This is the same device you use Ubuntu Touch on, and it's reliable. It works on all my cards, and Bluetooth works and everything works. But when I put Linux on it, it doesn't work. So, so I don't know. I think that's something that I need to bring to the attention of the people at UB Ports, because I don't know how thousands of users could be using this, and no one complains that the interface. People are actually saying this is perfect. It runs well. No, the calling side. I mean, I'm specifically talking about the calling side. If I'm going to do calling and texting, it has to be easy enough that you can do it with one hand, like you can do on any other platform here. So if you can't, then there's somebody has a flaw in here, because that's the whole point to mobile is, swipe and whatever. Swiping from the bottom should be an exception, not the rule. So whatever you do with this, the bottom swipe should be one of the interfaces for things that you don't use often. If you use it often, it should not be at the bottom. Should not be. It should be right at the top there. And there's so much space. There's so much space on the interface, and they're wasting it on big digits, and they're not using it for the icons. So, can that be fixed? Yes. Is it easy to fix? Actually, it is. It is. It doesn't even require much programming. I was looking at the code, and I don't know. It uses C++, which obviously I know, but it actually doesn't even use that. It uses something called QML, which is just kind of a scripting language from Qt. So I don't know how to use QML, but I looked at it and it's like, okay, so I just have to know how to use QML, and then I can maybe send them a pull request to make a change. So I might do it myself and just program it for them to appreciate, because it's kind of a basic thing, for the phone. So it's not a major thing. It's something that, if I just have the time. Unfortunately, I have to make a living, so I don't really have much free time. But if need be, if we get to that point, then I'll help the community out and try to help them with doing some programming, because no one's touched it in years. And I'm like saying to myself, wow, you have been using the phone on an Ubuntu Touch phone with the inconvenience of having to use two hands. Now, okay, guys, it does work. You can use Ubuntu Touch, and everything works, but you have to use two hands. You have to do this. You can't make calls like this. It's got to be this. Well, try that in a car. Try it in a car. Then you'll see. Oh, I guess if you're driving, there is no sucking way you're going to be able to use a Ubuntu Touch phone if your car is moving. There's no way. No way. You can't even see the icons. It's so small. So anyway, that's just goes to show you that even though in theory I talk about using Linux phones and such, the reality is it's a little tougher than it looks. There are things that we have to change still to make it work. Okay, Sir Calb. Okay, so okay, what else did somebody was Merry Christmas, Sir Calb. So what else did I miss here in the comments, because somebody was complaining that I wasn't reading comments. Well, I'm not reading the comments when you're having your own discussions that have nothing to do with what I'm talking about, because I don't want to keep changing topics with everything that's said. So somebody was talking about Facebook, and yes, I didn't. You were all talking about Facebook, and I was talking about something else. Okay, so Lineage Os is an Android open source. It's an AOSP or custom ROM, and you can install it without Google Play. And if you do, then you don't have to indicate your email address, and you don't have to identify the phone. That's what I did here. So I loaded the Lineage OS on the phone. You can actually load Android apps simply by finding if they have an APK, like Braxme has an APK file that you can load without going to the store. If you can find an APK file, you can load it on Lineage OS and run it. So you don't actually have. So for example, on Lineage OS, I found an APK for Kindle. I found an APK, and I have an APK for Brax.me, and I was able to install that, no problem. And I don't have any Google Play Store. So, it's certainly an option. It's not as secure as Linux, but it's not bad. So if you want to install Lineage OS, you can actually do it on these Nexus 5s and even some other newer phones. Okay, but this reminds me of the early days of Brax. Okay, so I think I want a new. Don't get a new phone. Let me just talk about new phones for a second, because that just frustrates me. Frustrates me, guys. So as you know, this is an iPhone. Okay, it doesn't have the 3 thing in there, so you can see this is not the latest iPhone. But even then, look at this iPhone here. And did you see what Apple's planning on this phone? They want to remove all ports. So there's not going to be a single port on an iPhone. So remember when they took out the removable battery and then everyone followed and no one had a battery you could remove anymore? And we're saying, oh, that's pretty cool. So now we're left with very few choices. We actually cannot find a phone. It's pretty hard to find a phone where we can remove the battery. Larry Moore, you want a new phone with Lineage OS. I think that's possible. Yeah, I don't know how new, but fairly new. The cost of your Nexus 5 with Lineage OS, the same cost as Ubuntu Touch. Yes, Larry Moore. I got to install it first, though. But, yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan. I'm experienced enough with Lineage OS. I can do it. I tried it on OnePlus One. This is just a lot more difficult. I'd rather not do it on a OnePlus One. It's too time consuming to do. But Lineage OS should be okay on a Nexus 5. So, aside from the fact that they didn't allow us to have a removable battery, then they said we're going to take out the headphone. I'm going to tell you some of the specifics of just how I've been using a phone like this iPhone here. I was using Periscope a lot. I was doing broadcasting in Periscope, and I wanted to, many times I want to watch people doing live streaming late at night and after my broadcast, which is, I get done here close to 11. And so I want to watch other people, who broadcast after me. And I go to my phone and I don't have a headphone. And I can't tell you how many times I've just not listened, meaning I'm looking at the pictures, but I'm not listening because I don't have a headphone. Okay, and I don't want to use Bluetooth for these. And Bluetooth is not as simple as you can imagine. I have a brand new Bluetooth headset, the full headset, and it's really wonky. I mean, you can get, since I'm running a lot of Wi-Fi in my house, there's a lot of things I'm doing. If I'm doing a major upload, it's in a 2.4 gigahertz. It messes up the Bluetooth, and it's like, suck this. So many times I plug in my Bluetooth, even though I have headphones that are Bluetooth, it doesn't work all the time, doesn't work too well. I have to plug it in. Apple just took that option out because, of course, they took out the headphone jack. On top of that, you can no longer repair, since iPhone 7, starting with the iPhone 7, you can no longer replace your own screen. They made it so that you can no longer do this. You can't update your own. You can't. If you break the screen, you have no choice but to bring it to Apple. This is on an iPhone 7 and above. This is an iPhone 10. So iPhone 7 and above, you can't do it anymore. Then they're going to take away the last port here, the Lightning. It's going to be charged with wireless charging, which is slower charging. I mean, my goodness, when do they stop? Now, then they said, okay, we're going to put glass in the back so we can do wireless charging. But if you break the back, it's like $550 to replace the back. That's more than the cost of the phone used. Okay? Meaning if you break the glass in the back, might as well throw away the phone. It's worthless. Okay? Might as well throw it away. Because it's no point trying to repair it. If you break the glass, you have to go to Apple now. So instead of paying $50 to replace the glass on the front, now you have to go to Apple and they'll charge you a couple $250 or so to replace the glass. I mean, this is getting crazy here. We're being forced to do things. We're being all the options are being taken away from us. This is why it's important to say, I want an option. I want an option. I don't want to be tied to whatever eco structure or whatever that Apple has. I'm not going to play this game. This is the last iPhone I bought. It's an iPhone 10, and I don't have any interest in buying a new one. None. Okay, why? And there's actually the only difference, by the way, this is an iPhone 10, and here we are 2 years later. What is the main difference between the iPhone 10 and the iPhone 11 Pro? They have 3 cameras in here. For what purpose, I have no idea. I don't know how important that is to you. That is not important to me. I have a very fancy camera right here. I'm using it right now. Okay? I don't need that. I have a fancy camera right here with all of the nice lenses and everything. And that's what I'm using here. And I have another camera here. Another vlogging camera. Again, much higher quality than even than the iPhone can give me. So why am I doing that? Why am I doing this? So I'm actually kind of fed up with this. And so this is just getting on my nerves here. Then you go to say, okay, let's say you say, I'm not going to go get an iOS phone. I'm going to get Android. How do you escape the Android ecosystem here? Because their main goal is to spy on you. So they're going to sell you, they're going to give you free software. So everything is free on Android because, every move you make has to be tracked. And Apple tracks you too. So, not only are you using their ecosystem, you're being spied on as well. But then Android, every move you make has to be spied on. So from the moment you join the Google Play Store, you're giving them your Gmail address, so you're forced to go use Gmail, which is then what you use when you go to YouTube and everything else. Suddenly, all of your emails and everything are now going through Gmail, which is obviously being read by Google. It's now on your phone, and then you use Waze, so they know where you're going, and then you use any kind of app, and then they're doing the Wi-Fi scanning to track the routers around you. My goodness, it's like I'm getting frustrated with all these options, and these are the only 2 options we have, and our attitude is, oh, this is really, really cool. They're spying on me. Who cares? I have nothing to hide. It's like, suck you. You got nothing to hide, huh? Every move you make, every breath, yes. That's not an incentive to buy an iPhone 11. Who cares about extra camera lens? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Live by the motto. AMG, you ought to wonder if I like the design of the iPhone 10 because of the bigger screen, and that's when they started using a bigger screen, which is now copied by everyone. And is it worth it? Do you know how much I paid for this? $1,300. You can buy it used for $649. $1,300. Okay, hello, Michael Bathurst. How is your night going? Keep shining. Thank you. If your Pine tablet are reliable, so no more Android for me. So I am glad that in 2020 we're going to have options. Yes, the options aren't going to be fast. So expectations have to be lowered. We are not going to get fast devices with the Librem 5 or the Pine phone. It may be that you get a cheap Pine phone to play with, and you may still want a Lineage Os device for day-to-day use, because there's going to be limitations. But let's make it succeed. Let's have choices. At least I can tell you this now for sure: the Librem 5 and the Pine phone both have removable batteries, so you can take the batteries out. They both have switches for the hardware, switches for the cell modem, switches for the Wi-Fi, switches for the camera and microphone. Both of them do have that. And it's like, which iPhone 10 do you have? Which iPhone 10? The iPhone 10. So which iPhone 10? It's called iPhone 10. iPhone X? Not the large one. There's the large one is is there a 10s? A 10s? I don't know. Not the large one. Or Plus? Is there I don't know what the large one was called. Yeah. I'm really excited by having options, because we are so excited about the tech, and we're not actually realizing what the impact of this in our lives. It's a very big deal to be tracked. I'm flabbergasted at the amount of tracking that's being done, and some people have come XSR. Okay, some people are thinking that I don't have anything to hide. I have nothing to hide, so it doesn't matter that they track me. And I'm going to make a video about this, and I'm just pushing it off when people are actually going to pay attention after the holidays. But I'll give you a preview now. For people who say they have nothing to hide, you really do not get the purpose of the data collection. If you're saying you have nothing to hide, you have no idea what's going on. Because people who say, I have nothing to hide, are thinking only of themselves. They're saying, well, I don't do anything unusual. I just do boring things, so therefore I have nothing to hide, and therefore I don't really need to care about a lot of this tracking. I don't need to care that they're tracking all my internet activities. Every click I do, every website I visit, everything that I say on social media, every post I make is all being tracked. Every email I send, somebody knows about it, and your response is, well, I have nothing to hide. Folks, if a government or an entity or corporation knows everything that you do, they can actually now predict how you will react. They can go around and say, oh yeah, fact here is is easily offended by certain political comments. So if I want to get him agitated, I'm just going to make a few political comments, and then I can get fact agitated, and then and then use that to further my cause of causing disruption. Someone, in fact, it could be that it's happening today. I mean, look at how divided this country is. Is that being pushed by certain people? Is that being pushed? Are we divided because we really are divided, or somebody trying to push us to be divided? Who's doing the pushing? For what purpose? For what benefit? I don't know what the answer to these questions are. The problem is we are actually enabling some of these companies and corporations and governments, even external governments,
from being able to influence us and control us because we are so sucking predictable. And Americans, particularly Americans, are the most tracked people in the world, not the Chinese. You think about the Chinese having social scores, and you haven't looked at your own social score. Have you checked your own social score on mylife.com? Suck. There was a news that Huawei will skip their phone without Google Play servers due to some issue. One asked, will that be safe? No, I don't, I'm not a one to trust Huawei because, that's, it comes from a communist country. So I don't know. No, I'd rather have something that's open source. Okay, so that's what Linux does. Linux is open source. If I have any question about what it does, I can look at the source code. Yes, I know the average person cannot look at the source code, but I can. So if I want to find out what it does, and I'm going to say, okay, is there any secrets in here? I can check the source code out. So if somebody's not going to release open source, then what makes them any different? Now, Android Open Source Project, or AOSP, is open source. Google Android version, the Google version of Android is not open source, but it's based on the open source. But they add all the spying things on top of it. So when you use Lineage Os, you get it before they add all the Google stuff on it that adds to the spyware. It's called Christmas. My score is social awkward mixed friends in only chat. That is not the score. There's an actual numeric score on mylife.com. It's fucking weird. Season's greetings to you too, FFS. Who's FFS? Yeah, so anyway, if you have nothing to hide, then you really have no idea that if someone can understand your behavior and how you react to certain things, that I can send you disinformation and cause you to react in ways that can be predictable. So if you don't understand what that means, it means somebody can manipulate you. So I don't know about you guys, but I make sure that nothing about what I do ever goes on the internet unless I want it there. I don't want any tracking because I don't want to be a part of that. It makes me mad. And you might say, well, what are you doing? Are you doing like secret things that you need to hide? Actually, no. It's more a philosophical thing that I say, I don't need to participate in your you can spy on me in my public face here on YouTube because or Twitter or Periscope because it's my public persona. But you're going to see what I want you to hear. You're not going to hear what I don't want you to hear. If I didn't post it publicly, then I'm not intending for you to see it. And I don't want that to influence, anything about data collected about me. The problem with the internet, folks, and some of you with the philosophy that says you have nothing to hide, you actually have no idea that what you put on the internet cannot be erased. Everything you put on the internet is permanent. So why would I want to create a permanent record of myself, including where I live, what I do, and everything else? Why do I need to put a permanent record of that on the internet? And why? Do I need to say, well, I want to make sure that my life is perfect because I got to make sure that I'm, towing the line. I can't even say anything political because somebody will come out and say, oh, you belong to this party or that party. I don't want you to even know that. That's pretty close to my actual score, Salt Lakers. Hey, stranger, would you like to see my vacation pics? If that's all they're looking at, then you have nothing to fear. But then they do the facial recognition and match it to everything else you've done, and it's like, suck. So we don't tell our life story with coworkers. Why should we tell the internet? Exactly, Larry Moore. And one of the things that is so interesting is how Facebook has changed a little bit of this, that in the normal everyday things that we do, we actually keep our lives in different sections. We section off our life. There's our work life, and the work life is specifically about your performance at work, and it has nothing to do with your personal life. Then there's your personal life with people you are close to, like family, husbands, girlfriends, and so on, and close family. And then there's your general acquaintances that you meet, in different parts of society. And you partition these in different segments. And then there's the public. So you actually have like 4 segments. And the internet says, no, Zuck believes that our social life, business life, personal life, and whatever else we do needs to only belong to one big open structure. Never in the history of man have we actually seen that. That's never. And it shocks me that nowadays people are finding out that there's another breach on Facebook. Facebook now, so many millions of people's data have been released again, and it's going to Intel, Spokio, Axiom, and all these different social media data aggregators, or going to companies that are in the business of being a mercenary in collecting data, like Palantir, and we don't care. Oh, I've heard it before. Oh, my data's stolen again. Oh, okay. I guess that's just part of life, and I just accept it. And then that is really bad, but they need to fix that. And then still, I stay on Facebook. Nobody fights back. Nobody says anything. I'm the only one that goes on YouTube, and hardly anyone watches me. And I go on YouTube and I say, "Suck that, suck that." Gajanan Mankaudi. So small the text there. Gajanan Mankaudi. Gajanan Mankaudi. There you go. Hopefully I said that close to being correct. Hello, Jason. Did you see where Facebook wants to create their own OS? It will be oh my gosh. Yes, use their Libra coin and their their crypto and their OS, and it's like Zoc. So yeah, this is crazy stuff. Yes, AMG, come to Brax for privacy. So Brax.me, as you all may have heard, is now open source. So some of you, do I take Monero? Sure. Are you just going to give me Monero? Yes, I'll take it. I'll take Monero. I mean, I'm happy to take any kind of crypto. You're not buying anything. If you're just giving it to me, that's amazing. I was out when they said my cat couldn't have her own Zuckbook account. So, so Brax.me is a open source system, and somebody actually said, "I don't like the way this app works." Well, guess what? It's open source. If you don't like it, you could program it, make a suggestion, and write your own programs and integrate it and say, "Yes, I want it to work this way." You could do that. But yet, here we are. We have an open source platform that's not spying on you. Thank God I left Facebook. I've seen other YouTube pundits said similar things on FB, and there was like talks about deleting Facebook accounts. Wait till 2020. I left Facebook in 2013, and I don't miss it. And I actually have lost contact with a lot of people that were on Facebook. And you know what? I don't care. Don't care. Okay? People have forced me and said, "Well, we can't talk to you now because you're not on Facebook." And I said, "Good." So they have to text me. And, it's too bad. I'm not going to risk my privacy. By the way, when there's like family taking pictures, and my brother, my sister-in-law, and they start taking pictures, the first thing I do is cover my face, because I know where they're going to post it. They're going to post it on Facebook. And I said, "Sorry, I don't want facial recognition." I don't even say that anymore. I just don't allow my picture to be taken by people who I know or just post it on Facebook. Thank you, Cam. Thank you. So yes, again, I'm making these products for you guys to protect your privacy. There's a change I made on this that I was trying to talk at the beginning of the video of the broadcast. There's a change I've been making on this, and or change I made on it. It's kind of major, but I guess I didn't really spend too much time talking about it. This is Brax Wi-Fi, right? But I made a new version of this, the same one, Brax Wi-Fi, but it can now go wired. So you can just attach a Ethernet USB to it, and you can actually route all of your traffic through the gigabit Ethernet, and then you can plug in another Wi-Fi router, or multiple, or you can put in a switch to get wired and Wi-Fi and route all of your traffic through the VPN, and that's actually part of this new one now. So if you don't have the new version, you can actually use it as a Brax Wi-Fi wired router, and then you can plug in as many devices as you want, including other Wi-Fi routers. That is now part of this. Okay, the other change I made is now you can run this with other VPNs. Yes, it's really much easier to use Bytes VPN on this, but if you still have an existing subscription with a VPN, you can actually put your current VPN on this, and it will run. You're gonna have to figure out how to install it, but it will run. And I've tried it on a couple, and everything runs fine. I tried it on Proton VPN and PIA, so it runs. Opinion on the Signal app for domestic international communications. My problem with the Signal app fact is that the idea of collecting contact lists and phone numbers is just repulsive to me. So Signals, requires a phone number. So kind of like Telegram and WhatsApp. And, I don't like it. That's why I made Brax. Brax doesn't require any of that. So I don't like that. So you can use it if you want, but, just understand that simply by having a phone number, someone can already begin doing what are called relationship maps. Because as people upload contact lists, you create a relationship map of everyone that's connected to everyone, and then the metadata from your communication becomes obvious, and I don't like that. Okay, sunglasses and hospital mask. For those who that own the Brax Wi-Fi, how do they get updates you've made? Well, it depends. What update do you need? Talk to me on Brax. At some point I can do an auto update, but not yet. I'm too busy to issue an automatic update right now. But if you have a Raspberry Pi 4, for example, that version, and you want an update, you can actually just download the new image and then just burn it yourself. It's pretty simple. So if you have Windows, Mac, or Linux, you can burn your own SD card and replace the SD card you're using. So that's free. You can download it for free, just if you already have one. If you already have an existing one, that's free. You just need a link from me. So, and then you can start using the new features. You don't have to pay for it again. Okay. So anyway, so that's hello, Peter. Merry Christmas, Peter. If you get an Alexa Echo or Amazon Ring, be sure to send it to Rob for target practice. Wow, Ring. Do I need to do a demo to show you how I can hack Ring? So, if you become a missing person for so many years, they have to declare you dead, don't they? Oh, you mean if you disappear from Facebook, you become dead? Yeah, so I actually don't mind, having disappeared from Facebook, and occasionally people are like, asking people I know how, why I'm not contacting them, and because I tell them I'm available on Brax.me. And thank you, Peter. Good morning to you. I'm available on Brax.me. Anyone can talk to me in Brax.me. And if you don't want to talk in Brax.me because you think you don't like the platform because it doesn't look like Facebook, well, it's too bad because I'm not going to respond. I value my privacy, and I understand that I don't want to be manipulated. It comes from a little bit of history, my friends, because I've some of you have known that I come from when I was young, I lived in a government that was that had a dictatorship, and I just don't want to ever go through that again. I don't want to give any government the kind of power that allows them to create a dictatorship where they can tell me what I need to think. Where I grew up with this. It really bothers me, guys, when you are young and you're told this is how you should think. If you don't, you go to jail. There's only one opinion, and it's whatever the opinion of the government is. And some of you just don't have any idea of that. Hello, Jamie. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, Jamie. Well, I'm still here next week, so we can greet you Happy New Year after Christmas. We'll save that for later. But Merry Christmas, Jamie. Merry Christmas. How can you donate to me? You can. I have a Patreon account, Rob Braxman, and that's really, really appreciated. Or you can buy my products at rob.brax.me, or you can even go do super chats right here on YouTube. You can. There's an icon on the bottom there that you can give a super chat. Although I think Google takes half. So Google takes half of it. I think Patreon is they only take 15%, but here, if you do super chat, they take half. So yes, so I appreciate your support, guys. This is a full-time job for me. This is what I do. Every week is kind of a routine. I don't know how, but thanks. Who needs governments now? We have multinational corporations to direct our behavior. Well, the problem is we got both. We got governments who want to control our behavior, governments that track everything we say, and I'm really worried about what they're going to do with that. The U.S. government, for example, the three-letter agencies have every email you've ever sent in your entire life because it's not encrypted. So they collect it very, very easily. They collect it through AT&T. There's a internet connection between AT&T and the Utah data center of the National Zucking Agency, and they capture every email you send out, which is not encrypted. It's many videos of mine that's not encrypted. I showed you that's not encrypted. So they capture all that, and what do they do with it? Let me just tell you just how scary this is. So Hillary deleted all of her emails supposedly with beach split on or beach whatever you call it on her servers, right? And yet the three-letter agencies likely have every email in their possession. Every email from the DNC is in their possession. Every email sent by anyone is in their possession. They may not give it to you because they're going to say it's national security. They're not going to hand it to the FBI because it's a national security thing, but they have it. So it just boggles the mind what they can do with that. What can they do with that? Is it possible for someone in the three-letter agency to leak data from emails from politicians, for example, to WikiLeaks? Is that possible? Well, since they have it, then you would think that it's possible. So this kind of worries me. What kind of manipulation is possible when somebody has all this data and we don't have any input? That's why Lindsey Graham says, oh, well, we're going to fight all these different platforms, so we're going to force you to all put backdoors on all of your software. We're going to force you all to have backdoors so we can read all of your data. And I was like saying, Zuck you, Mother Zucker. Zuck you. What is your purpose? What is your purpose? I need to go now, Cam. Okay. Thank you, Cam, and happy holidays, Cam. So I'm like saying to myself, I'm not going to empower any government because I've been through that, been there, done that. You know, I don't want to empower any government to have that kind of data. And now we're not just empowering government; we're empowering private parties like Zuck and Google to collect the same kind of data. And it's like, what the Zuck? Why would I give this kind of data to third parties that can be collected by a company like Palantir? Palantir is the biggest collector of all of the data. What data do they have about each and every one of you? Let me just tell you about Palantir, in case you haven't heard of this company owned by Peter Thiel. Okay? The CEO of Palantir is Peter Thiel. Palantir not just has all the data from social media and Facebook and all that, which they can easily get because it's on the internet, but they also have government data. They have your data, for example, from your health records, from your IRS records, from your driver's license, whatever, from any kind of correspondence with the government. Why do they have that? Because they're a government contractor. So they're given access to that. And why does Zuck is a third party handling our records for even things like medical records and IRS records and things like that? And now they know your real name, and then they have access to your credit records, your purchases, everything that they can get from Equifax and so on, and then combine that with all the data in the internet about each and every one of you because you have nothing to hide, and you've empowered a single company to collect all this. And your answer is, who cares? I've got nothing to hide. Oh my gosh, people. I don't know. It sounds idiotic to me that we actually say, oh, that there's no danger in that. Are you stupid? You think there's no danger with third parties collecting every single piece of data about every human being and allow them to manipulate each and every one of us? And our answer is, oh, we don't care because we got nothing to hide. You think it's that simple? When somebody knows data about everything, they can predict what you're going to do. They can actually start saying, we want to manipulate the vote. Since we have all the records of everything, let's blackmail some people and do this and do that. And now we've equipped them with the tools to be super bad guys, and our reaction is we don't care because we have nothing to hide. We've just equipped bad guys, people with bad intent. By the way, who's the biggest users or clients of Palantir that has all this data? Who are the biggest clients? The biggest clients of Palantir are the federal government, the city governments, the states, and the financial companies, the banks. So, for example, Chase, it's the big user of Palantir. What about Goldman Sachs? If they can manipulate you, if they can manipulate your behavior, they can probably affect the stock market. Do you understand that? Do you understand if they can cause panic and then they say and cause people to sell? then they can, if they can predict that, because they know everyone's reactions and how everybody moves, and you say, well, we don't have anything to hide. We don't care about that. It's like, Zuck. Somebody's profiting over us, so we're not going to make as much money in our retirement accounts because companies like Goldman Sachs and Chase can manipulate us through data. And our reaction is, we have nothing to hide. We don't really understand that. And this is why you tell me that I'm being paranoid because I want to use a Zucking Linux phone. Am I being paranoid trying to use a Linux phone? I don't want to participate in that. I don't want to give them the data. I want to work independently. I want to make my choices independently. Unfortunately, because the majority are so fooled, we are zucked. I'm a bit concerned about the 5G network. Yes, I am too. Insurance is already, using that data. They're already saying, okay, we know about your personality and how you conduct yourself, and we know you're kind of an aggressive kind of guy, and so we're going to raise your insurance. Somebody actually tried to do that based on activities on Facebook. So, this is going to keep happening, and our reaction is we have nothing to hide, so we don't need to worry about that because I'm just a law-abiding citizen. I don't do anything. So I give permission for people to take my data because it doesn't cost me anything. Gosh. Nothing is ever free. There's always a cost. There has to be a system in place so that no one can buy or sell without the mark. Might be 5G, might be something else. So to include affecting cryptocurrency, well, they're doing that, already on the press. So they anytime crypto goes up in price, somebody will always, flood you with bad news. So the crypto price goes down, and maybe they buy when it goes down. Who knows? There's a lot of manipulation there too. So if you can actually model a computer to track all this, you can actually find that somebody can actually do program buys and sells of high volume in the stock market. That's what Goldman Sachs is an expert at. So, during the recession, Goldman Sachs was still making money. It's a recession, and Bank of America and Citibank were all failing. And Goldman Sachs was not failing because they were using, computerized programs to really eke out money out of the market going up or down just by modeling. And you guys are saying, that doesn't impact me. It does impact you because that's a recession. That's a recession. Somebody makes money, you don't. Hoping that, what? So you might enjoy the Hated Ones YouTube videos. I don't know, Tomic, why do you watch the Hated One and not me? What does he say that's different from me? Just because he has a bigger YouTube channel. I mean, his topic is almost the same as mine. And the reason I don't really talk about, a lot of privacy issues nowadays, and that's why I'm talking more about phones, is because no one subscribes to me if I talk about privacy. No one subscribes. It's very frustrating. So, people want me to talk about specifics like Linux and so on, but they don't want to talk about they don't want me to talk about privacy. I did a couple of videos on privacy and hardly anyone watched it. I talk about a Linux phone, everybody watches it. So it's kind of like, it's frustrating for me because the Hated One gets the business because he's been at this first, but on YouTube, actually I've been around probably longer. I've been doing this on the wrong platform though. I was doing this on Periscope for the last 4.5 years. So yes, and I've talked about things that were way ahead of what everyone was talking about. I was talking about Cambridge Analytica before the election. I was telling you what's happening with Cambridge Analytica before the election. I was researching Cambridge Analytica before that even happened. And then when it became, public, and then everyone, saw Zuck trying to explain that was years after. Years. What if you react to a bunch of memes, then talk privacy? I call it the PewDiePie model. Yeah, I don't know, Mad Cow. My demographic probably doesn't. I never get the memes anyway. I'm very bad with memes. It's about the New York Times article. No, the New York Times article is from 2018. Whoever published that, like it's brand new. Hey, yo. Did you look at the date of the New York Times article? It's last year. It's a year ago. Nothing new there. I sub here for privacy and for information. Thank you, and phone for information. Thank you, Larry. So yeah, my channel is about privacy. Whatever I talk about, it is about privacy. I talk about Linux, it's about privacy. I talk about ham radio, it's about privacy. I talk about antivirus, it's about privacy. I talk about prepper things, it's about privacy. Everything I talk about is about privacy. Yes, Mario. Yes, I've always been talking about things ahead. Actually, there's no one like me on the internet. I'm typically ahead of my time. What people talk about, I've been talking about many years before. TH1. So yeah. So anyway, the hated one, that's a big channel. So he doesn't have to make that many videos. He can make a living just from advertising. Not me. I got to make money. It's hard to make money full time doing this. So I had to give up a lot of stuff. I don't do much else. I'm doing YouTube videos, and then I have to squeeze in some programming to show you what I can do. But I'm not able to make any money doing other things because I'm doing this because this is kind of a mission. So yes, please support me because of the fact that this is now a very, very difficult way to make a living. Very, very difficult. I'm telling you. So yes, please. I appreciate the support because I don't have a channel as big as the hated one, and the hated one is talking about the same things, or maybe after me. Like I said, I've been doing this I have thousands of videos on Periscope. I was broadcasting every single day, live stream on Periscope, talking about this stuff for 2 hours a day, every day for 4 years. 4 years. Can I take LTC? Yes, I can take anything. Do I have an LTC wallet? I don't even have an LTC wallet anymore. I'll get an LTC wallet. Whatever if you're gonna make a donation, I'll take it in any form. I'll make a wallet. Yeah, I kind of like switched off all of the other cryptos other than Bitcoin lately. So part of the problem too, that Google, YouTube will never let this topic get big. Fortunately, Mark R, they're making money from me, so they're letting me do this. Mark R, they're actually pushing my channel. As you can see, my channel is being pushed. As long as I talk about phones, Linux phones. If I talk about Linux phones, they push it. If I talk about privacy, they But if I talk about Linux phones, they're going to push it. So some of you are like, I can't believe it. Some people actually unsubscribed to me because of my last video on PinePhone, because maybe they thought it was too geeky. So I did kind of a very technical explanation of why I thought the PinePhone was gonna be cool because of what you can do with that. And some people unsubscribed, and they actually don't realize my difficulty. That I'm trying to do this, and I'm trying to expand my market and get other people in here, and I can't do that. I can't do that talking about the same topics that I can talk about on Periscope. I cannot. So some of you are, saying, well, he talks differently now than a year ago because I'm not talking about Facebook so much. I used to say Zuck every sentence. And the reason I can't do that is because I can't get YouTube to promote me unless I open it up and talk about things that, they can share on suggested videos. Pre-ordered the Pine Phone and Pine Book Pro the other day. I'm glad to support it and test it. Me too, Mark. I didn't order any Pine Book, but actually I'm really interested in the SBCs. I want to actually play with the SBCs. So I would have wanted to play with a Pine Book, not a Pine Book Pro, but a Pine Book, because it was using the same chip, the same SoC as the one on the Pine Phone. So I wanted that. I was hoping to get to try that, but they don't sell it anymore. Because the Pine Book Pro uses a ROC 64 or ROC Pro 64. Well, the reason the hated one gets lots of views is because he discusses a lot about security and privacy, but more security. I don't really. There's so many channels that talk about privacy, security, and I'm just trying to make myself different here because I'm about privacy, not. Let me just respond to that very specifically, Alex. Let me just tell you what's so different about focusing on privacy versus security. Let's say you're a corporation. What does a corporation want? Is a corporation focused on privacy? Hell no. They don't care. So if you work for a Ford Motor Company, do you think they care about your privacy? So what exactly happens when you talk about security, kind of like Steve Gibson and Leah Laporte in their channel? Okay? Well, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. They're going to talk about security. Well, unfortunately, that security is almost always at the cost of your privacy. So one of the things that bugs me, and it's another video that's coming up, is the antivirus question. So you put an antivirus on your computer thinking you're going to add to your security. It does not. Worse yet, it affects your privacy because what you don't know is that the antivirus, especially some specific brands of antivirus like Avast, actually are able to spy on you. And we already know that Kaspersky just takes files from your server, from your computer, and sends it over to Russia. So, yeah, you might think these are good for your security, but they're very bad for your privacy. Very, very bad. So you ought to start thinking about, the difference, and why I decided I'm going to focus on you, the average person, and not about cybersecurity. I'm an expert in cybersecurity. I can talk about cybersecurity all day. I can talk about cybersecurity all day. I can do videos like Hack 5. Because, I know the same stuff they do. So yes, do you want me to make hacking videos? Yes, I can do that. But that is not the important thing, because no one talks about the privacy issues. No one talks about the privacy issues. I'm the only one. I'm unique in my channel. There's actually, I believe I'm the only one on YouTube that I'm aware of that actually specifically focuses on privacy. Like, as you even said, even the hated one doesn't really focus too much on privacy. Certainly, Leah Laporte and Steve Gibson do not. They do not care about privacy. So, I'm unique in that. So I hope you support what I do, because my thing is, I don't really care if the corporation needs to protect their cybersecurity. That is not the important thing. The important thing is how does it affect your privacy? Completely different objectives. Completely different objectives. So, when I talk about the phones, I'm not talking about the phones as a cybersecurity device. Look at your iPhone. Okay, so your iPhone is supposed to be cyber secure. Is the iPhone cyber secure? Yes, I'm going to agree that it's pretty hard as a hacker, and I'm a hacker. As a hacker, it's pretty hard to break into the iPhone. Pretty hard to break into an iPhone. I agree. Is it easy to break into Android? Yes, it is equally hard to break into Android. Yet, these two devices that are cyber secure are leaking your data, your locations, and you can't stop it. So what the fuck is that all about? So am I going to talk about how you should load Graphene OS on this because you're going to be cyber secure, and yet your data leaks out because of Wi-Fi triangulation and Wi-Fi scanning, and the backdoors on the baseband modems? No, guys, that's what's different about me, because I'm here to tell you that I'm focused on you individually and how I'm focused on your privacy and not cybersecurity on these devices. So all of my topics are all connected. When I talk about Linux and I say, well, let's talk about Linux for a moment. I've switched to Linux completely now. I've been using Linux 100% for the last couple of months, and I've did a complete switch. Before it was kind of part-time use, and all my servers are Linux. I've been for close to a decade of Linux servers, but my desktop was never. I've never been a big user of Linux servers. Linux desktops. I'm using Windows and Mac, and lately Windows on my desktop. It depends on what computer I'm using. So I'm focused on. I've switched to Linux in the last couple of months, and I could tell you right now, yes, you would be more secure using Linux, just because generally Linux doesn't even track. They don't even know how many users use Linux, because Linux doesn't report how many of you are using it. So somebody that makes Manjaro doesn't even know how many people use Manjaro. They have no idea. So the only way they know is from people going to websites and hitting like or something, or how many times the distro was downloaded. But that's about all they know. They don't actually know anything about how many people actually use each distro. Well, I'm going to tell you that because I'm focused on privacy, not just because of Linux. I'm going to tell you that Linux has difficulties too. For example, it's very hard to install a VPN on a Linux desktop. I've gotten tech support, and somebody will ask me, how do I install Linux on this distro? And I'm using Ubuntu. So somebody will say, well, that's not the same instruction on your website. And my goodness, how am I going to find out how to install Linux on every distro? Because basically the interface is different. I don't know what screens are going to come up. So I almost have to get a screenshot of everything you're doing, and then I got to do it slowly and say, okay, that's what that means. You put that on there, you put this on there, and it's going to be difficult. It's so much tech support, because if you're using Linux, you ought to be a little bit more advanced. If you're kind of a beginner kind of person, maybe you shouldn't really use Linux. It's really not that easy. Okay? So if you're a bit more geeky, then you should use Linux, because you can handle it. But for the average person, do I recommend it? It's pretty hard. You have to learn new apps. You have to, figure out specific things about a distro. It's hard to get tech support on specific distros. So I'm not here to go push a specific platform. I'm only interested in how it helps you do privacy. Can you attain privacy with Windows? Yes. Can you attain privacy with Mac OS? Yes. It's just each has different strategies for doing that. So you gotta watch my video on how to set up your computer. So you can do it, but it's not I don't blindly recommend to people to use one platform over the other if there's some difficulties with it, and there are. So Yes, I'd rather use Linux, but I'm fairly advanced and I don't have a problem with it. But will I tell my mom, mom use Linux? Probably not. Probably not. Installing a Linux distro is something they should teach in school. Yeah, but which Linux distro? And how do you install each distro? It's all different. That's the problem, is there's too many versions. I use NTX on a PC from 2005. And by the way, I'm going to make another video shortly about antivirus. So don't use an antivirus. Don't ever pay for one. Don't ever pay for an antivirus. Is Google Helper malware? Sometimes it can take. Yes, of course. I mean, Google Helper, is that the voice assistant? Zuck that. I don't use any of that. One of the worst things that you can use, guys, is a Chromebook. Please, I hope nobody bought a Chromebook for Christmas. Please, guys. Okay, did anyone buy a Chromebook for Christmas? Zuck that. Give it to me. I'll use it for target practice. So where's my... can't find my... oh, here. Anybody have a Chromebook? This is what we're gonna use on the Chromebook. Okay, this is for the Chromebook. That's what we're gonna use. Or you have a Amazon Alexa Echo, same thing. Same thing. Somebody gives you that for Christmas, paint it red, and then put sticky tape on the back and use it for target practice. Is it worth anything? No. Should you use it? Zuck, no. I'm not even going to try it. Please. So Chromebooks don't have any storage space anyways. Of course they have storage. Google Drive. Fuck. Google Drive. Zuck. And they read everything you put in Google Drive. Oh, let's put every kid on Google Drive with their real zucking name so that they can read what these kids are writing with their real name for the rest of their lives. They're all identified. Zuck that. Disagree. Need a good firewall and trusty AV. That's okay, hey yo. You're wrong. You're wrong, hey yo. No, I wouldn't do that. If I want to hack you, make sure you have an antivirus, because that's be good hacking starting point. I bought one only used for secure logins in guest mode. You bought one. You're the type that would buy a Chromebook. Zuck, man, get a cheap, get a Pinebook Pro, $200. It's the same price as a Chromebook, a lot safer. Pinebook Pro. Probably the same speed. Chromebook, Pinebook Pro. Stick to Pinebook Pro. Okay? Stick to the Pinebook Pro. Zuck that Chromebook. Zuck that. Zuck that. Encrypt your files client side before uploading to Google Drive. Oh, come on, Tom. It doesn't work like that. Encrypt your files client side. Try that on a Chromebook. Try it on a Chromebook, Tomic. Is that Tomic or Tom K? Tomic? Yeah, try it out on a Chromebook. What app are you going to use to encrypt it before it goes to Google Drive? No point. I had an Alexa in my room in 1994. Adjust privacy settings on Chromebook, but don't use it for surfing the web. No, hey yo. Suck. There's no way to stop Chromebook from tracking you. Even Wi-Fi triangulation. You're wrong, hey yo. Sorry, you're wrong on that. You run Arch. On a Chromebook? No, we're talking about Chromebooks. Still, I wouldn't use Google Drive. I mean, You're saying you have the discipline to encrypt and use Google Drive. Do you really have that kind of discipline? I mean, that's the whole point to Google Drive, is they make it convenient for you. But of course, the Chromebook does not have its own storage, so you're forced to store everything on Google Drive, including your profiles. There's Cryptomator. It encrypts everything that you can send it. Yeah, we're talking about a Chromebook. How are you going to do that? What app are you going to use? Come on. And then you're going to add like all these security procedures that gets more complicated when you can just use a Zakim Pinebook Pro. J. Amkar, what's the best web browser for privacy and security? All of them, Jay. It's called browser isolation. I already have a video. Watch my video, Jay. Watch my video. There's several of them. One is what best web browser for privacy for privacy, and then the other one is the browser threat test. And yes, the answer is that the best way to get privacy on a browser is by splitting your activities into multiple browsers. Not multiple tabs, multiple browsers. So by isolating and saying, if you're going to use this platform, Google, go to Chrome. If you're going to go use Amazon, use something else, on and on and on. Separate the platforms on different browsers so they can't share information. So Brave, there's nothing special about Brave, by the way. You know, it's people are pushing Brave like it's somehow you can get a browser fingerprint on Brave just like anything else. So to me, Brave is great because it's by default it will delete your cookies. So Brave should be used with Facebook. If you're on Facebook, use Brave with Facebook only, nothing else. But they spy on you. Yes, they all spy on you. A Chrome is hacked as soon as they install the OS. Chrome OS equals spy. Chromebook. Oh my gosh. You can't even install Linux on a Chromebook. Can't even install Linux on it. I have 7 browsers. Yeah, you know, I have on each computer I have at least 4 to 5. I use 4 to 5 browsers. I guess even 6 if you count, a Tor browser. So 5 or 6. So, and I don't need a Tor browser because I have a Tor router. So I just use different browsers to keep reading the local paper articles online. Limit of 5 per month per browser. Yeah, but if you're going to the same website, you're just messing yourself up there. The whole point is to keep platforms from sharing data. If hacked, it resets when rebooted. What are you talking about? Hey, are you the big fan of Chromebook here? Do you work for Chrome, for Google? I use rclone from the command line. Brave has HTTPS upgrades. Yeah. And? Is that anything special with that? Nothing unique about that. Is using command line browser like links better than GUI browsers? Larry, don't think that matters. Let's highly recommend Chromebooks for criminals. Maybe, Mad Cow, that might be a good idea. The browsers I use Chrome. So if I'm going to do YouTube, I might as well use Chrome. Now, why? Why do I use Chrome for YouTube? Because YouTube is already a Google property. So if I use Chrome, then They're not getting any more information than what they already have. So I'm going to just use Chrome for anything Google. Then I have Firefox. Actually, depending on the computer, I may have, there's different versions of Firefox. There's Firefox Developer Edition and the standard Firefox. So you can actually have two versions of Firefox. The Tor browser is actually Firefox. So if you use Tor browser, you actually have three versions of Firefox. Then I have Brave. Then I have Safari if it's on the Mac. Let's see, what else do I have? See, on Linux, there's some other ones like Morph browser, and there are different kinds of things on Linux. So, but let's see what else. Don't use Opera. Don't use Opera. Opera is a bad thing. Okay, Opera was bought by, it's Chinese now, and they have a honeypot VPN on there. So it's not a real VPN. It's a honeypot. So, they'll trick into using that, and then they'll be tracking you. Bottom line, the Chromebook guest mode is most secure but not private. What did I just say about, privacy? So, zuck that Chromebook, dump it. That DuckDuckGo browser or DuckDuckGo, on my cell phone I have DuckDuckGo and Brave and Firefox and Chrome on my phone and Safari on my iPhone. That's what I have on here. On Linux I only have one. You are a Vim user. I am a Nano user. I use Nano, John. So it doesn't matter what you use. Just it's more of a discipline. Can you discipline yourself to use multiple browsers, which then prevents them from doing browser fingerprinting? So Sandbox with the Epic browser. It's really no point to have too many different browsers. Just pick the ones you want and just stick them. At least three or four. At least 3 or 4 browsers, and then you subdivide your activity by browser. So that's how you do it. And then you prevent them from collecting the data from browser fingerprinting. But I still count. What about cash versus credit and debit cards? Unfortunately, that's the hard one. And I have to say, I'm pretty bad with that because I use Amazon a lot because I need it for my business. So I use Amazon a lot. I get a lot of my parts from Amazon. And so, I tend to stick to like one credit card for everything. And that's bad too because then it gets centralized. I also tend to use PayPal. Now, let me just, some of you are like so anti-PayPal and you don't even realize why PayPal is really important. The purpose of PayPal is that you don't have to reveal your credit card number to anyone else. If you pay by PayPal, you actually don't have to pull out your credit card. If you know your PayPal account, then you can go to PayPal and pay for everything. And if you're going to a small website that you don't trust, why would I give my credit card number to a small website that probably has no security and will likely share my credit card number? So the way to prevent that is by using PayPal. Now, I don't have that same issue with Amazon. They're not going to go do that with my credit card data. But if it's some unknown website, especially somebody in China, I have a problem with using Alipay or something for buying something in China from AliExpress. I want to use PayPal. Why? Because I don't know who they are. I don't know what they're doing with the number. So now, yes, so this is the problem with this is, of course, PayPal then starts to have all of your information about your purchases. But they already have that anyway because it gets reported to Equifax. So financially, we're zucked. We've been zucked a long time ago. So that's why I don't want to mix certain activities. from the financial, because there's really no way to control that anymore. I don't like PayPal wants to be my checking account to their site. You don't have to make your checking account, but as far as having some safe financial activity, PayPal will of course be safe. It's a lot safer than handing your credit card. So Google Pay but it's Google, Alex. The problem with Google is it knows everything else about you. PayPal knows what you do on PayPal. PayPal doesn't know what you do on social media. Google knows what you do everywhere else. Google knows where you live. Google knows what you do. Google knows what you think. PayPal just knows what you buy. So I'm trying to isolate this into different areas. I don't want to give them too much information. I don't want to give Apple Pay. I don't want to do that. Larry Moore, that is not. That's not the right name for that. Have you been? No. Not gonna post that because you. Does that say? Let's say Zuck. I guess I'll post that. Okay. Don't use antivirus. Wrong, Heyo. Don't follow Heyo's advice. Do not pay for antivirus. Heyo says use Chromebook and don't use free antivirus. Wrong. Don't ever pay for antivirus. Thank you, John Bradley. Don't ever pay for antivirus. Spend your money wisely. Get a, Brax Wi-Fi router and Brax Bytes VPN instead of spending stupid money on antivirus. It's not really going to do anything. I know, Larry, that is not the correct. Do you have solutions for email yet? Yes, Jamie. There's a solution for email. Don't use it. I mean, I've told you the solution many times. Don't use email. Okay, email. What you do with email is you partition your activities also by email address. So yes, by all means use Gmail. Gmail's great for like social media accounts where you only need it to log in. So use that. It's it's pseudo anonymous. So use Gmail for that. But if it's for your own business or stuff like that, do not use Gmail for that. Use a paid email account for that. Don't use Gmail for that. Use something paid. If you're going to say, well, should I use Proton Mail and all this? No. Waste of money. The best solution is not to use email. Use email as kind of read-only. Read-only. Yeah, you Signal, you give them your phone number. Use BraxMe. You don't have to give your phone number. BraxMe, you can use Authy and Google Authenticator to authenticate your account, and you don't need to give email or phone number. You can, but it doesn't force you. But what happens is on the other side, they do not use it. I know, John. Unfortunately, that's the way the world turns. Heyo is finally saying something right. Email sucks. Yes. So yeah, don't use email. I use email as read only. I don't really pay attention to what's on it, and 99% of the email I don't read. And I have to respond to email when I do password verification and things like that. But otherwise, I don't encourage people to email me. It just I tell them, talk to me in Brax. If you want to talk to me, rob.brax.me. Just type that on your browser, rob.brax.me, and you can talk to me, and you don't need email. What do you think about the Riot IM Matrix network? I don't know yet. Would be nice if it's a good solution for voice over IP, but both sides have to use it, so that doesn't necessarily. Proton Mail is free and read only to a limit. Proton Mail has a limit, size limit. then you have to pay. Hoping Thunderbird works well on the Pine phone. Not on Ubuntu Touch. I haven't used Thunderbird on Ubuntu Touch, but should work on post-market OS. Maybe we have to check and see what the interface looks like, but maybe somebody can rewrite that. What is the best free antivirus and firewall for Windows and iOS? Jay, it's called nothing. Jay, the answer is nothing. Certainly not on iOS, certainly not on Mac. For Windows, you can use Windows Defender, and that's it. Don't pay for anything. It's frustrating that some firmware can change, but other stuff seems to be read-only. Windows Defender comes with Windows. Yeah, so Windows Defender, it doesn't hurt to use Windows Defender because it's actually a very limited antivirus. And it doesn't have the kind of dangerous features I'm talking about. In the future, I'll talk about in another video. But I don't use anything on Linux, obviously. I don't have an antivirus on a Mac. And on my Windows, if I don't want to be hacked, I'm not going to put an antivirus on there. Because that's a good way to get hacked. Put an antivirus. Okay? If you want to get hacked, put an antivirus. You want to know how? You want to learn from me? Yeah, put an antivirus in a computer and that'll be my target for attack. So every antivirus can be hacked. Every single one. So if you want that, you can have that. Guess what? If you don't have an antivirus, you're harder to hack. So, yep, there are things you can do that instead of using an antivirus, there are things you can do. Some of it's discussed in my video on how to set up your computer. 70 people watching and only 48 likes. No, I'm sure there are at least a couple hundred of you that already watched. But Windows Defender failed malware's most of it. Who cares? Who cares, Gajanan? That's not the point. I don't need an antivirus on Windows, Gajanan, if I am not admin. If you're not the administrator, I don't really care about the antivirus. A virus cannot come in if you are not admin. Okay? So, all you have to do is not let the virus sit there. There's nothing, nobody can install anything if you're not admin. Okay? What you do is you set up an account called admin, but it's not, it's just an average user. And then that's it. Forget about this antivirus crap. Stop running crap you do not know about. Yeah, so I'll make a video because it's actually a very, very advanced topic. I delete it. They put McAfee on a computer I buy. Zuck, delete that. Yeah, delete all that. So, yeah, I don't need that. I installed anti-Chrome. Just install Linux and call it a day. Don't need to do anything. Wow. So without admin, wouldn't have to worry about people clicking fake links while surfing. Correct, Matt Cow. I actually wrote a demonstration software right here on a live stream on Periscope. I actually wrote my own virus so that you click on a website and it downloads the malware. And the malware downloads just fine whether or not you have an antivirus. What is the antivirus actually doing? Did the antivirus stop me from putting the virus on your computer? I even call it malware and it downloaded just fine. I actually called it malware exe. Download fine. Okay? And but I couldn't run it I couldn't figure out a way as a hacker. I couldn't figure out a way to get you to run it without doing social engineering. I'd have to do some little trick to cause you to click on it, and you cannot click on it if you are not admin. So yeah. So that's the actual way to do it is to say, how are you going to get the virus? And what is the first way that you get a virus on your computer? Email. Because if you click on a browser, it actually goes to the downloads folder. Hey Yo says Linux not secure. So he's going to use Windows or Mac. I don't have any antivirus on my Linux. I don't have any viruses on it. I don't have any viruses on my computer. So why is Linux more secure? Because you are not root. Why are you more secure on a Mac? Because you're not root. Why are you always being hacked on Windows? Because you are root. So change it. Don't be root, or in Windows as admin. Don't be admin. Done. Then you don't need anything else. Can use Ubuntu Touch by connecting to TV and use as desktop mode. On some models, I believe you can do it on a Nexus 5 using it's called a slim port. However, I don't recommend that since there's really not much you can do with it on a TV. So Linux from scratch, do it, you will know. There is a popular YouTuber who teaches about hacking, but because of YouTube, he can't post much of the stuff he wants to show. So he's now taking him to his website, which I don't visit. I think these chodes are trolling you. Don't get upset with the brainlets. All your questions will be answered. Linux not secure. Yes, funny. Be baby Groot. Yes, only Hey Yo said Linux is not secure. That's pretty funny. So you got some nice clocks back there, and ESET no 32 on my Linux HTTPS. Those are not clocks. They're barometers and such. They're for a boat. They're like portholes. They're made for a boat. They're not clocks. Well, one is a clock, one is a barometer. They're used for a boat. And talking to otherwise you're just, the way is there is Linux malware which is difficult to detect. I can install malware on any computer. Hey Yo. What makes that? Do you think that's what makes that different? I can install. What are you thinking is so secure that you have a antivirus? Would like me to install malware on your computer? So Hey Yo, yes, I can install. I just told you. Didn't I just tell you? I wrote and showed it on Periscope. This was a couple years ago. I wrote a program to show you how you download malware from a website, and it goes without you clicking on anything. It automatically goes into your computer. Okay? Now, it will take multiple steps for me to get you to click on it as malware, but at least I got to the first step, which is to get it to your computer. And the antivirus does not know. You can evade an antivirus if you're not copying viruses. If you make your own virus, you can not be detected. Only people that they're detecting are people who copy viruses because they don't know how to write their own code. If you don't know how to write your own code, you copy. You're called a cracker. Those are the viruses being caught by all your antivirus. That doesn't mean that you can't be hacked. Not at all. John, try to not use bad words there if you can help it. Say ZHIT. So So because I get demonetized by too much. Well, hey, yo, my point is, I don't want you to be more in danger with an antivirus because it gives you false security. Antivirus makes you think you're actually safe when you're not. So they're just there to make money from you. By the way, these days I use Fedora. Now, what's the advantage of Fedora, John? Is there any special advantage of Fedora? Just update Linux and it's hacked. Really? Yeah, John, don't demonetize me here. So, yeah. Use the Bytes VPN and Brex router to protect yourself from Rob. It's the only way. So, actually, one of the reasons I do this is it's pretty hard to hack you when you're using my own devices. It's actually pretty hard, yes. I want to blow all my zucking tech up. Mike Smith, yes. I've used Linux for years until I didn't. So you decided you're going to use Windows? Fedora comes with a firewall enabled along with Cell Linux. Yeah, but why do I need Fedora to install UFW and whatever boot? I don't need any kind of boot protection. I just protect my computer physically. I don't have to do much, but I could, I guess, suggest Manjaro. So I was playing with Manjaro last night, and I was saying, okay, so what's so special about Manjaro versus the other ones? They're all the same to me, to be honest with you. They're not that different. Cubes is also based on an older version of Fedora as well. Cubes is, pretty super duper, but can I really suggest that to an average user? That's like, more complications. Cubes is a complex kind of system. And, it doesn't even run on 99% of your computers. Is dual booting safe? Well, it's individually safe. You have to consider each and every OS. You dual boot with Windows, and of course, it's unsafe based on what you do in each one. If you're not admin or root, then it's safer. It's really simple. Don't be root. It's really that simple. Why is Linux safer? Because you're not root by default. That's it. You don't need, fancy antivirus stuff. It doesn't really... pfSense supposed to be a good file. I mean, why do I need pfSense? I got, UFW. UFW, turn it on. Block everything you want to block. It's like... what is UFW? Uncomplicated firewall. It's built into, you use it on any Linux you want. I use it on all my servers, and it's built into all my servers. They don't have a baseline. Go on to DistroWatch to research distros. Read the comments. POPOS is the least hassle. Yeah, Pop OS is based on Ubuntu. So it's like, okay, then what's the big difference? Cube's too complicated. Well, it is. I was root to my grandfather one time and caught a backhand from my dad. You'd make more money if you do it yourself. I don't know what that means. So kind of like to again put this all into, you can use UFW on a Raspberry Pi. Of course you can. I think Linux desktop runs as root. No. Hey, yo. No. That's why you have to use sudo. No, it's no different. All Linux installs the same. By default, you have no rights. You have to do sudo. If you think Cubes is complicated, you can start with Tails OS if you want privacy. Yes, I already have a video about that. Tails OS is equally complicated because there's no persistence by default. So that makes it, no, I already said to you in my video on Linux safe distros, it doesn't matter what distro you use of Linux as long as you know how to pass it through a router, either Tor router or a VPN router. That keeps it simple. So you can use any distro you want. Let's say you want to use Manjaro. Rather than use cubes and tails, just use a hardware solution. By the way, I mentioned this on my video. So let's say you're on the road and you want to use a Tor router, and people have told me this. Well, I can't carry your Tor router out of the house because this is meant to be plugged in. Well, guess what? When the PinePhone comes out, I can sell you a Tor router on LTE or VPN router on LTE. The PinePhone can be your hotspot. I can make the PinePhone a hotspot VPN or Tor router, and then you can use it with any device, and you can hotspot it. You can just transfer your SIM card onto the PinePhone, and there you go. So your entire family can be on a VPN or Tor or whatever you want to use. So that's a solution that I'll be able to offer when the PinePhone is widely available in March. I might buy a dozen of those PinePhones and just sell it to people who want LTE VPNs, and you can take it anywhere you want. And that's a lot easier to do than cubes or tails and any of that, because that's really difficult. When I was naughty boy, maybe I can post my Linux firewall logs here. Hey Yo doesn't listen to me. Yes, router and VPN. I saw that video. So yes, this requires you to be plugged into a router to your network using Ethernet cable. But the PinePhone is only a little bit more expensive than this, and you can put a SIM card, and then you can have let's say you get a unlimited service like you can with, let's say, T-Mobile. You put an unlimited SIM card in there, and then there you go. Then you have a unlimited VPN, and you can use it anywhere. Home, not home, it doesn't matter where. You're always ready with a VPN that's the size of a phone. This is about the size of a PinePhone. I mean, when I started thinking about what you can build with a PinePhone, I can build security cameras and all that, and Linux servers and many, many things you can build with a PinePhone. But can you imagine that you can use it as a VPN router? I would love a PinePhone VPN router. Yeah, so all you need to do is get a PinePhone, and then I can give you an SD card and you just plug in. It's already preloaded. So how would you like that? Maybe I'll customize post-market OS and put my changes on it, and you plug it into the PinePhone, and there you have a router. And you can still use all the other features of the phone. Are you getting a Librem 5 server and Librem key for Christmas? I don't know, Donnie. I'm not, I still have a Librem 5 on order, but I'm just not too excited by the possibilities of a Librem 5. Maybe a Librem 6 might be better. Or a Librem 5 2021. I don't know. The CPU, for what I'm paying for, I paid $720 for the Librem 5, and then I find out that it's only slightly faster than a PinePhone, which is not that fast. So the PinePhone, which is $200, is not a very fast computer, but since I paid $720 for the Librem 5, I thought maybe that'll be a little bit faster, but it turns out it's not that much faster. So that's kind of disappointing. True, I use Tails OS for some things and a bunch of other stuff, though. But back to the segment, this segment on VPN router, which leads me to thinking forever and never doing. My stuff is way simpler. One of the things that happens as a human is I get excited about stuff, and when you actually do it, it's not that big of a deal. How much does your VPN SD card cost, and can use it in the UK? Oh yes, Jay. All you have to do is you can my SD card for the VPN is $99, and you can download it and burn your own, so you get it instantly. Or if you want, you can I can ship it to you on an SD card. Up to you. And then you can buy your Raspberry Pi, somewhere in the UK, since it's from the UK. The Raspberry Pi says made in the UK. Actually, it's made in China, but I guess they ship it back to the UK. So, So what about Tizen? So get a Raspberry Pi 4, 1 gigabyte, and then you can buy my software on my store, rob.brax.me, and you can have it instantly. It takes you just download it and burn your SD card using Windows or Mac or Linux, and shortly you have a card you can boot it with. There's a lot of people here in the next, outside. There's a lot of people outside. Can you torrent on your VPN? Yes. Of course there's no logs, Alex. Of course there's no logs. No. There's bandwidth logs in general. It has the ISP keeps a log of total traffic, like daily, weekly, monthly traffic. I don't know individual traffic. There are no logs. In fact, the server does not have any space for any logs whatsoever. Thank you, John. Thank you. Plus, you're pretty cool how you express yourself in English. Should I express myself in a different language, John? So, one time. My thing is to do it yourself. Do it yourself, yes. Do it yourself. So, anyway, for those who can't do it yourself, then you can have me do it for you, and you support the channel as well. But you're not forced to do that. How do you pronounce that? Tarzan? What? It's a Linux-based mobile operating system backed by the Linux Foundation, but developed and used primarily by Samsung Electronics. If you wanna. But the VPN is a subscription, obviously. Yes, the VPN is a subscription, although my Brax router actually works with pretty much most VPNs. Thank you, Donnie. Thank you. It actually worked with any VPN, but I don't want to tell you that, but actually it does. I made a change to allow it to use any VPN. But you got to figure out how to set it up, okay? So, how do you pronounce that? Pronounce Tizen? Personal stuff? Because you can. All right, I'm going to walk to the store in 30 minutes. I'll be right back. Is a one-off payment? No, it's one time. No, Jay, the VPN software is one time in your entire life, unless you want to get some other version I'm making. Obviously, if they make new hardware, then I have to write new software. But the version for the Raspberry Pi 4, I have different versions for different devices. So it's by device. So I have one for a Raspberry Pi 3B Plus and an older version for a Raspberry Pi 3B. I don't recommend those. I recommend the Pi 4 version because it's faster. You're used to IRC. Can I say something where you won't yell as I'm looking out for you? I'm used to IRC. Be right back. Okay, John. Okay. So what I miss here?
what I miss. So yes, it's a one shot. So VPN is not monthly. VPN is annual. VPN is $89 a year, unlimited for up to 6 users. If you're installing it on 6 simultaneous devices, you can install on 50 devices as long as only 6 of you use it at the same time. But unlimited number of people using end devices using a Brax Wi-Fi router. So the VPN is not a monthly cost. Thought it was you, but isn't. I'm wasting money. VPN is an annual cost if you use my VPN. This one is not a VPN. This is a router. The software for this is sold for $159 with the hardware. This is also sold as software only. You just get the chip. That's $99. This can be used with. This is usually used with Bytes VPN. But if you have a current subscription with a VPN, you can use that. The software is lifetime, correct? That is correct, Dario. But obviously, I don't know if you will have a Pi 4 in your lifetime. So, realistically, as long as the device is still supported and running. So, yeah, it's going to run for, could run for a decade. So, and then you might say, oh, okay, I want a new version now. So, sometimes I offer like discounted, for existing users, I've offered like discounted software. Depends. How is WireGuard support going? What is WireGuard? Let's talk about John now. Router is once paid. Hold on. Router is once paid for lifetime. Bytes VPN software is $89 annually. That's correct. Better than the source code. Does your VPN have the same speed as when using without VPN? Pretty much, Jay, but of course, not from the UK. Since if you're in the UK, then my servers are in the US, so obviously it won't be the same speed as in the UK. So if you want, you can use a UK server for the VPN. Okay, I don't use WireGuard, Donnie. Oh, WireGuard. I thought we're talking about. I remember now. So Jay, you can, let's say you want to use, let's say, Proton VPN. You can. It runs fine with this. So there are instructions on how to do it, and then you can use any VPN. Otherwise, you have to go to flashrouters.com, and they're going to sell you a pre-configured router for a VPN for $600. So it's cheaper to do it my way. A lot cheaper. Less than half. What is the best VPN? I don't have any idea, Jay. Probably not NordVPN. So WireGuard is a new VPN protocol. Yeah, I checked that out already. But you can't really experiment with VPNs. VPNs are all VPN companies use the same software. Every single one. Every one of the VPNs use OpenVPN. It's open source. We all use the same open source OpenVPN client. Sometimes they'll put a little bit of UI to the source to make it look like it's different, but it's basically the same. It's OpenVPN. Okay, so there's really no difference in software. All VPNs are the same. What's different is their policies. Some do log, some don't log. Some charge you too much. Some do a lot of marketing tricks to trick you into paying for it. So in my case, there's no tricks. Do you think it's possible to install a Linux-based system on a Microsoft Lumia 950 XL? No. No.
I don't think so. DDWRT. I run DDWRT, but my software is lighter than DDWRT. Why do I need DDWRT? So my software does exactly what DDWRT does, but it's a lot simpler. Okay, they update. DDWRT is open source. Gets updated every night. So I don't have any particular reason to use DDWRT. I have a big router that uses DDWRT. I don't actually use it. I use mine because I know how to write router software. I don't need to use DDWRT. I wrote this. There's no reason for me to use DDWRT. That's the same thing. Okay, Surfshark is the best you can have. Unlimited devices. No, Bytes VPN is the best you can have. Do you have to do it from the ground? Do you use a mesh router? No, I do not use a mesh router. I don't like mesh routers. It's they make it seem like it's all perfection, but what I do is I just use a different SSID so that I know precisely which one I'm using in different parts of the house. So I have several of these in the house. So I have like 3 of these running at any one time. And depending what section of the house I'm in, I use that, whatever's closer to me. Okay, so I don't do mesh. Just trying to keep it simple. Okay, because there's actually, other problems with doing a mesh. All the code for WireGuard is actually way different than OpenVPN. The code is very, very small compared to the bloated OpenVPN. That's why WireGuard is faster and very stable. Yes, but it's not standardized the way OpenVPN is. OpenVPN works on any platform. It's available with a client and server on every version of Linux, and it's available on every kind of device: Android, Linux, Mac, PC, Windows, whatever, iOS. It works on every device. So can't beat that. Okay, can't beat that. Is it worth learning Linux programming as a career? What is Linux programming, Jay? Okay, what is Linux programming, Jay? It's not really Linux programming. You have to talk about the language. So I program in C. C is not, C is pretty heavily used in Linux. I happen to be very good at C. So a lot of Linux is written in C, and so it's easy for me to get in there and figure it out. In Linux, it's also easy to program in Python. What advantage of the VPN just mentioned that I have that Surfshark does not have? The whole point to Bytes VPN, which is my VPN, this is America. If you're going to promote another VPN, it's not going to happen on my channel, okay? Bytes VPN is my VPN, okay? I own it. One of the reasons that I set up Bytes VPN is because I want it to be a stealth VPN, because there's so few users in each server that it actually doesn't register on any one of the sites, big sites, as a VPN. They actually don't know it's a VPN. Okay, it's expensive to do it that way. You go to PIA, they'll put 100,000 of you in one server. You put it on my VPN, and there's so few of you on my server. My servers are at such high capacity and very low volume, and we're not even at 10% capacity in each server. So there's no space on the server for any logs of any sort. My servers are only in the US, and the reason for that is because in the US you need a warrant before you can go start, hacking or doing anything to the server. They need a warrant. You can't just do it without a warrant. So that's part of what I do. By making it a stealth server, it becomes kind of a premium thing because I don't put that many people in each one, and it's more costly to do. So it's more costly for me to give you, but you get better service. So, and you get better security because nobody actually knows you're on a VPN. Alex, don't know. Again, if you consider that, that every single VPN, let me repeat that, Alex, every single VPN sold today uses the OpenVPN standard. OpenVPN is an actual standard. It's supported on every computer. It's supported on every version of standard Linux. It's there already. I don't have to install anything extra. It's already built in. My VPN is on bytesvpn.com. It's on the link on my videos. Okay, it's $89 a year. Python for AI. What does that mean? Okay, so have you heard anything about Libre router? No. Yeah. Try not to promote other products on my broadcast since, I don't need that. I don't, there's no reason for me to encourage other products when I already have my own products here. And I'm here for your privacy and I'm here to serve you. So I don't need to promote other people that don't serve you. Okay, so if they're in here for profit, that's their business. But on my channel, you don't need to do that. So here, I'm here for you. So anyway, I'm WireGuard is like Wayland. You have to give it time for it to become an industry standard. Well, when the time comes, we'll look at it because obviously I can install anything. Been following you a while. Appreciate your insight to detect you have a slight Filipino accent. Of course, I have a slight Filipino accent. What is the best secure laptop to get? I'm using a J Omcar. I'm using a Star laptop from the UK at the moment. So it's a Linux laptop. It's from the UK. It's very inexpensive. I bought the super powered one here for $800. So if you're already in the UK, that's pretty good. So Star laptop, man. So yeah, it's a deal. So I use Linux. It's high speed Ultrabook. It's in one of my videos, and it's inexpensive and seems to be compatible with all of Linux. Okay. No Starlight. I cannot think of a way to capitalize on that. So anyway, don't. So when the time comes when the time comes that that WireGuard has some advantages over OpenVPN, but obviously it's pretty easy to shift servers. Folks are getting security and privacy mixed up, including you. Hey yo, you're like getting getting it confused with Chromebook. So being a privacy channel, Chromebook should be the enemy. By the way, some of you are saying, well, but you're on YouTube. Okay, go to Google Activity Controls and just turn off your history. Okay? Can you make your VPN more affordable? I just told you why this is America. My VPN, my VPN is actually a premium VPN because I have to put very few people on each server. So yes, I can make it affordable. I'll put 100,000 of you on one server. Okay, I can make it easily affordable, but let's be honest. It costs money to run a server. So the more people on the server, the cheaper it is for you. So I can cheat you anytime. I can say I'm going to offer you, a VPN for $40 a year. But what I didn't tell you is that after you buy, I'll put a few people on it for the first month. Then as you go on, then I'll start dumping more people on the same server, cutting down the server. So then, those people who get like a lifetime lifetime VPN service in there. There's 100,000 of you in each machine. So it's like, yeah, right. It's so easy to play around with that. So guys, I don't do that. I don't play those kinds of tricks. The point is the VPN does not have that many people on it per machine. So by doing that, each server does not show up as a VPN. When you go to Google, Google actually knows how many people have the same IP address. Amazon knows, it's on their website. Amazon knows how many people use the same IP address. By doing it my way, we actually don't make them think it's a VPN because there's so few people on it. I don't, as you can see, Starlight, I'm not doing any Periscope, and it's is Pinebook Pro just as secure as your UK laptop if they both run on Linux? Yes, Marco Street, that is correct. Pinebook Pro, though, is very slow compared to this Ultrabook. The Star laptop is a super fast new computer. It's a modern computer with high speed, for video editing and so on, running 4K videos and whatever. So, that's a lot different than running a Pinebook Pro. So if for secondary computers, for learning, doing some programming, Pinebook Pro is perfect. For heavy duty things, like the kind of things I do, such as doing video editing, it takes an hour to encode my videos. I do 4K videos, and it takes an hour just to decode it. It takes 2 hours including the upload. That's on a fast computer. If I used a Pinebook, I'd be here forever. Okay, so yes, that's correct, Starlight. So PIA, Nord, all these, they'll stick 100,000 of you on a server and then say, well, we have a special today. We'll give it to you for $40 a year. Don't play that game. Come on. You save a couple of bucks and you're not realizing that they're going to put 100,000 of you on there. Okay? Do you know how much they give on commissions on a VPN? Okay? They don't, it's by volume. They must make like a couple of bucks per user. That's why they got to get you in the millions to get the VPN in the millions of people. And then they say, okay, we'll put you on the same IP address. And then you wonder why you're using PIA and you're getting all those captcha codes. Have you if you were using some of these big ones like PIA and Nord, have you wondered why you're always getting captcha codes? The reason you're getting captcha codes is they know you're in a VPN because they're putting 100,000 of you with the same IP address. Honeypot VPN. Yeah, use Opera. It comes with a Honeypot VPN built in. Okay, so that's what's different about my VPN, guys. It's a service VPN. It's made for a few extra bucks. Then you get assured that no one really knows you're in a VPN. Okay, now some of the companies will guess that you're in a VPN just because they see you have loaded VPN software on your computer. They don't actually know if you're in a VPN or not because very few people are sharing the same IP address. PI is doing the service to all of them are. 90% of all the VPN companies out there are just, marketing companies, and they're not there for you. So, I don't need to have, thousands and thousands and thousands of you using my servers. It doesn't matter. Okay, the reason I built the servers was for myself. So I'm not going to get rich from selling the VPN, but you can all benefit from the fact that there's very few of us on it. Well, you wouldn't get captchas if you use Firefox with DuckDuckGo. Incorrect, Alex. That is not true because you're using the same IP address. That's why you get captcha codes. Captcha codes are controlled by the website, not by the browser. The browsers give you the captcha codes. So if no captcha code, then you can't get into the website. Try using Tor. If you're using Tor to get into a website, it's very hard to get in. because they're going to pass you through every click you pass through a captcha code. Does Bytes VPN show network devices too? What does that mean, Mark? I don't understand what that means. Does Bytes VPN show network devices too? What network devices are we talking about? Are you talking about local LAN devices? Bytes VPN leaves your LAN untouched. You can access your LAN while using Bytes VPN. What makes Brax Secure Net HD camera more secure than others like Ring? By the way, welcome. This is America. Apparently, you must be new to my channel, because if you even talk about that, you certainly don't understand what Ring is doing to you. Ring is uploading your videos and pictures to the Amazon cloud for sharing with government contractors, including Palantir and police agencies. They have a contract with the police to share the videos. So if you're walking around your neighborhood or jogging and your neighbors have Ring, they're capturing your video with facial recognition and sending it to a centralized database. You really want to do that? And then Ring devices. Would you like me to demonstrate a hacking thing to show you how you can hack Ring? Ring is very easy to hack because it's based on Wi-Fi. It's also battery operated. So you have to keep changing the zucking battery. So my cameras are true day-night with IR mechanical filter, wide angle. Okay, they're fisheye lens. They have IR capability at night, and there's actually a physical mechanical switch that turns on by software to turn on, and you can put as many IR lights as you want. It cannot be hacked from the internet because there's no way to do it. It's not connected to the internet in that way. It only pushes to the internet. You cannot control it from the internet. There is no control available. It is not hackable. It is wired. It uses power over Ethernet, PoE. There is no Wi-Fi, so there is no way to hack into it from the outside. So I cannot use my little tricks that I can use to block Ring. I can actually I can carry a pine phone with me, put my software on it, and I can block Ring so it doesn't work while I'm near it. Okay, so it's pretty crazy to think you choose Ring. That's pretty crazy stuff. Okay, so a Brax Secure Net camera has its own flash drive, and everything is already kept. It's a full computer by itself with flash storage in there, so your data is always there. You don't need any other devices or home devices. They actually independently carry the videos, so they do not have to be connected to the cloud. Optionally, you can use them in the cloud on Brax.me, but you don't have to. If Ring was smart, they would have done it Rob's way. They don't need to do it my way because they're Amazon. Ring is Amazon. It's tied to Alexa Echo. They're taking your pictures and your voice. If you want that, if you think that's a safe thing to do, then go ahead. By the way, guys, this is my only live stream before Christmas. My next video will probably be after Christmas. So my next is something to do with a Pine phone, Donnie, or Pine something. I'm thinking I'm going to use a Pine device. Okay, so Donnie, give me ideas. What can I do? A Pine phone is a portable computer with LTE. I can do lots of stuff with that. What can I do with a portable computer with LTE and a screen with touch running Linux? What can I do with that? With barometer, ambient light sensor, accelerometer, GPS, Zuck. That's a full spy device right there. Okay? Smart thermostats are hackable. Ring strategies to get your info. That's the whole business model. Yes, they want to sell that data. Ring strategy is to sell your data. Doggy cams now so you can see your dog. What a scam. So, yeah, so anyway, my plan is to come up with some pretty nifty tricks to do with a Pine phone. I'm excited about what I can do with that. I should have bought like five Pine phones, but one is enough for testing. Then, when I get something in production and come up with something, then because you can just insert different SD cards in it. So you can actually write 10 programs, 50 programs, put it in different SD cards, load it on the Pine phone, and test it that way. So I'm excited by that, and I'll be making computer projects with a Pine phone. I have so many ideas. So it's great for ham radio. Anyone into ham radio, many of the times we use some surveillance systems, mesh networks, and all that, and we're using Raspberry Pis, and it would be handier to use a Pine phone. First of all, it's more compact, and it's not really that much difference in price. Thanks for explaining. I'm not new to your channel. I've watched you explaining how bad those devices are. I didn't know that you had a secure one till right now. I'm on your site. Oh, okay. This is America. Yes. By the way, if you don't want to use my VPN, that's fine. If you're not in the U.S., you may say, well, I want to use a local VPN that's faster. That's fine. You can still use this though, because the Brax Wi-Fi can do wired or Wi-Fi, and you can load another VPN on this, so it doesn't have to be my VPN. Set your Pine phone as a desktop setup. I could, Jay. There's so many things you can do with that. It's a computer, and it's unlike a Raspberry Pi. It comes with a screen, so it's a computer with a screen already built in with an LTE and Wi-Fi and everything else built in. So it basically is like a Raspberry Pi 3B Plus. It's about the speed with all the screens on it. And so look at this. This is to show you. This is a Raspberry Pi with a screen on it. And this is too tiny. The screen's too tiny. Touch screen. So this is a Raspberry Pi. This is the size of Raspberry Pi. Okay. A Pine phone is flat. So what is the size of a Pine phone? It's as big as this iPhone 10. So imagine a full computer like this, Linux, and I can do anything on it, and I don't have to send it to Apple for review. I mean, as a hacking computer alone, what can I hack with this? I mean, it's fantastic what I can do. Well, sending you a letter by post office to be the safest way to communicate soon enough next to smoke signals, of course. No, encrypted messaging is still the best, Starlight. So I'm excited. So anyway, I'm going over time here because in any case, I won't see you till probably next Friday. So there will be no more live streams. So I'm so busy, with the holidays like many of you are. Will the Pine phone be better than having a Nexus 5 with Ubuntu Touch? No, Jay. The Nexus 5 will be more powerful than a Pine phone. Okay? So I'll be frank with you. The Nexus 5 is more powerful with a Pine phone. So if you're an average user just wanting to have a safer phone, then you can use Nexus 5, Ubuntu Touch, or Lineage OS on a Nexus 5. It will run faster than, I'm just being honest, it'll be run faster than a Pine phone. But if you're an inventor and you want to use the phone and do other things with it, including running desktop apps, the Pine phone will be better for geeks. So I'm not going anywhere for Christmas, Donnie, just, busy. Not doing any, just, usual, go visit relatives and stuff like that. So, no piano nearby. As you can see, this is my new office here is not near the piano. So no more benefit to that. 4 years and no happy holidays, Merry Christmas to everyone. Didn't we play any Christmas? I guess not at the jam session. Is Ubuntu Touch better than Lineage OS? Well, Ubuntu Touch is Linux. Lineage OS is Android, AOSP. In terms of usability, Ubuntu Touch is more secure. Lineage OS, of course, is very usable. Lineage OS is very usable without Google Play. if you can use Lineage OS without Google Play, then you've come close to what Linux can do. I can't play. Yes. Should we wait for PinePhone or use Nexus 5? I missed response. I said that if you are a average user, Nexus 5 is fine. If you are a geek and you want to do other projects, then obviously a PinePhone is better. For the average user, Nexus 5 is just fine because it's faster. So you're going to use a PinePhone, which is slower. So we already know the Ubuntu Touch works on a Nexus 5. Now, I told you what my problem was with Ubuntu Touch. It can be fixed. My problem with Ubuntu Touch is that in order to use the phone features, you have to use two hands. The interface has to be modified so that you can use it with one hand, because whoever did that didn't really think about it. Because every operating system that you can use, iOS, Android, can be used with one hand. And it's a very simple thing to do. It's just whoever designed it, designed it like in a laboratory without actually putting it to real use. Okay? As a beginner in coding, what is something like a book to recommend? I heard you learn things in school you never use as a beginner in coding. Every beginner in coding now uses Python. There's a lot of things you can do in Python that you don't need any, sophisticated knowledge as you do with C. So, and Linux happens to be very good with Python. So Python is very easy to write programs in, and you can do quite a bit. I did a hacking program that I released open source on my, did you guys see that? I have an open source, my Catch MITM app. I open sourced it, so you can look at the code. I haven't finished it because I kind of dropped it. So I'll get back to it. Maybe when it's quiet during the holidays, I'll get back into it and run it on Qt. It's running Qt. It's right now. It's running on GNOME. Perl is kind of an out of date. I use Perl. It's I don't like Perl. I use Perl over the years. I prefer PHP to Perl. So PHP is closer to C. So I use PHP, and depending on what I'm doing, I'm using Python a lot. So for standalone programs, I use Python. For server stuff, you have to use PHP. I don't think about Rust. There are many frameworks that, you can do frameworks all day. I'm not a big framework guy. I mean, I like to write it from scratch. No, Braxby is open source, but I have a Catch MITM open source. So I open source two things. Would you be willing to teach us something to get us started, or should we watch YouTube tutorials? Yes, Starlight, you can. There's so many people doing that. There's so many people doing that. I don't. Donnie could probably teach you programming. Like Richard Blum's Python programming for Raspberry Pi. By the way, one of the easiest ways to do programming is on a Raspberry Pi. Just put a computer, a monitor and keyboard, and it comes with idle. You can actually, do a lot of things right in a Raspberry Pi. And it's, you can do a lot of simple things. You can do a lot of little electronic things in a Raspberry Pi. And so it's best for projects. So there's plenty of support. So there's always examples on the internet to do something. Now some of it's kind of basic. Like some of you will say, well, there's a Tor router software on a Raspberry Pi, but don't compare that to what I've done. What I've done is a lot more sophisticated. What I did was obviously, a lot of work. I mean, I have an interface. I have, a web interface to it, and it's very configurable and so on, and auto detects the hardware, and does a lot of stuff that some of those common things they find on the internet will not do, because many times you set it and you can't even configure it. Okay, learning but also hitting roadblocks. Well, you learn by doing it a lot. I mean, as with anything else, you need 10,000 hours. Also, learning to learn Chinese is harder than learning Pro Tools. So, I don't need to learn Chinese. I have enough to do with learning programming. So anyway, that's how many people watched tonight, and I hope you guys are hitting the like button on the video, because it'll be my only video, my only live stream this week. So I hope you're hitting that like button there. That would be appreciated. I bet you only a few of you hit the like button on the video. So anyway, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and we'll meet up before the New Year, and we'll talk about all the New Year stuff and see what we're up to. Thank you. This is America. Merry Christmas. This is America. I pressed the like button. Did you hit the like button? This is America. So someone said it takes 10 years to become an overnight success. I am happy. Thank you, Jay. I'm happy to say, guys, that, so I'll likely end the year at 8,000 subs. And unfortunately, 8,000 subs is not, I was expecting more than 8,000 subs, but that's not bad. 8,000 subs in 1 year. So that's pretty rare. You usually cannot get 8,000 subs in 1 year on YouTube. So that's quite an accomplishment, and without having a open bobs or doing anything, or having a girl in here. So it's you just walk in the door. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Thank you, Jay. So anyway, 8,000 subs. So we'll reach at least 8,000 subs in 1 year, and that's actually I started in January, like 2 weeks in. So my 1 year doing this would be about January 13 or something. So by then I'll be past 8,000 subs, I think. I'm at 74 right now. So it's not bad. That's not bad at all. So hopefully my target is 100,000 at the end of next year. So get a girl. I think he's good, but you're better. There was a movie star that only got 70K subs this year as a beginner. If you're already famous, that's not a fair comparison. I'm not famous. Let me take off my boots and my jacket. You're talking too much, John, and you Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Collaboration. I haven't done any collaboration, but in a sense, I am collaborating, because I'm just making friends with other YouTubers, especially the Linux YouTubers. We're all kind of collecting as a group, and so I'm kind of hanging out with the Linux YouTubers, and we're kind of like friends with each other, and it's not really collaboration in a formal sense. It's just informal, because we all believe in the same things. So, what is the greatest new privacy threat for 2020? Zucking phone, Brick Brew Bonanza, your zucking phone. That is your threat for 2020. The phone, and hopefully we have a solution coming up in 2020. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. I had a Christmas gig, so I did play Christmas music last Saturday. So I did do that, and I did play Christmas Time Is Here and all that. Unity in solidarity. Solidarity sounds like back in the days in Poland. Solidarity. Even though the data is here, it's okay. There you go, John. So anyway, Merry Christmas, guys, and let's all converge on Brax.me, my open source platform. You can hang out there. And what do you mean Zuckbook is killing WhatsApp? That's impossible. How can they kill WhatsApp? I don't believe that. That would be great if they did, but I don't believe that. Let's grow bigger in 2020. Much love to everyone. If people were aware of your message, there would be a revolution and it would be over by the next day. No, Mad Cow, I've tried and they all believe in Zuck, not me. So Zuck will Zuck you. By the way, I can't even talk about Zuck on YouTube. If I do a Zuck video, I get no views. So obviously, I got to be... I'm circumspect about what I can do on YouTube. I can't really talk about Zuck. And they'll demonetize the fact that we've mentioned Zuck a few times here, I'll be demonetized temporarily until they figure out that I just said Zuck. What OS comes in the Nexus 5 you sell? The default is Ubuntu Touch, which is the Linux one, but I'm planning on doing another one with Lineage Os. So hopefully this weekend I'm going to try and load Lineage OS on it, and you get a choice of Lineage OS or Ubuntu Touch. So I'm using Lineage OS on this, on my OnePlus One. I can also install, in theory, I actually can't on this device, but this is a OnePlus One. This can also accept Ubuntu Touch. So I decided I can't because it got locked. But Lineage OS is a compromise that's reasonably safe compared to Android if you do not install the Google Play Store. So I can install without the Google Play Store. They're slowly getting rid of WhatsApp. It's post-market OS working on Nexus 5. I believe you can get post-market OS to work on a Nexus 5, but a lot of the features do not work because it needs Helium. Does Lineage OS get updated always? Currently, yes. Lineage OS can get updated daily. If you're using WhatsApp, come over to Brax. Yeah, Lineage OS can get updated daily. It's currently Android 9, and it's getting daily updates. Okay, so if you're used to iOS and Android, you will obviously be fine with Lineage OS. Lineage OS runs pretty well. The only problem with Lineage OS is you might think because you can install all the standard Android apps from Google, in which case you're screwed. So you have to have the discipline. Yes, Ubuntu Touch gets updated, yes. Okay, Ubuntu Touch does get updated, yes. So it's called a on-the-air update, so OTA, on-the-air update. So you don't have to, it updates automatically. So if you got Ubuntu Touch on your device, every time they release an update, you get updated. So I installed Ubuntu 10. It got updated to Ubuntu OTA 11. The next one coming up, hopefully before the end of the year, is OTA 12. The only hopes for privacy phone are resting on piggybacking on techies' compulsion to want to run a desktop OS on their phones. Very funny, Mad Cow. Yes, it is true. It is true, but what do you do, right? It is what it is. You have to be a geek a little bit. I don't know, because the geeks understand the risks, and so they're the only ones paying attention. Only the Linux people seem to understand the dangers, and I don't have to explain it to a Linux person what the dangers are to privacy. They seem to know. So I'm happy that that's fine. Okay, so yeah, let's converge and Brax, and so we can talk about what you're buying yourself for Christmas, and for those celebrating Hanukkah, happy Hanukkah, and party on this next coming week. Okay, party on. Okay, so good night, guys, and see you. I'll probably be back next Friday. I'll try to do a video before next Friday, so after Christmas. Maybe I might release a video on the day after Christmas. I'll try to do that. Okay. So thank you guys for watching, and happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and have a great time this Christmas time. Have a great day. Days. Party lots and lots. Good night, guys.